Bon. Désolé les gars. Désolé l'équipe, j'ai du retard. J'ai du retard, c'est normal. Excusez-moi, je tiens à m'excuser. Veuillez m'excuser les copains. J'ai du retard. Tac. Et j'espère que Fortnite diffuse les FNTS.
En gros, ils disent qu'ils doivent faire tous minimum top 110. À part.
Je pense. Il manque des mini. Merci Rius pour ton sub.
On est sur ST pour l'instant.
Ah si, j'en ai trouvé.
J'ai que 3 mini là.
C'est dans le milieu, genre attends.
On est sur ST, on est sur ST. Pour l'instant, on commence sur ST. Et je vais aller voir sur YouTube s'il y a moyen d'avoir le live Fortnite. Bah, j'espère que Fortnite ils sont en live. J'espère que Fortnite ils sont en live.
Là, je suis vraiment ça fait 6 splash, mais après, t'as un assist déjà. Redis-moi ton stuff, toi.
Moi j'ai 3 bananes, un fizz, 6 splash.
Pire, j'ai mon fils, en fils ça va. Hein.
Ah, comment ça se fait que je trouve pas la chaîne de.
J'en ai 4 là sur moi. C'était où le dernier?
Comment ça se fait?
Il y a encore des. Il y a trop de fils là.
Comment ça se fait que je trouve pas la chaîne de Fortnite?
Non, t'as pas de mini toi.
Non, j'ai pas.
Là.
Vire-toi qui de son en fait, on est con, on a trop de flash, je revisite les sons.
3 bananes, ouais, j'ai 3 bananes.
On les virer les 3 bananes. Hein.
Ah, ils diffusent pas encore.
Tiens, prends-les, ici. Ils étaient où les splash?
Ils diffusent pas les FNTS.
J'ai 200 de fer aussi.
137.
J'ai juste.
Dans la station.
Je sais pas si sans viseur DMR, je peux beaucoup toucher.
Ouais, tu peux.
Ouais, ils diffusent pas les FNTS.
Il faut t'attendre le 100% quoi, c'est tout.
Là,
ouais, ils diffusent pas, là, ils diffusent pas.
Ouais, je prends un DMR.
Pas trop, ça change
là, ils diffusent pas, c'est dommage.
J'ai un fils, 3 grosses, 6 splash. Gros.
On va le voir le Fortnite Tracker.
Il est trop bien. Attends, je fais le fer.
Il y a les coffres en dessous. Moi, je vais faire les fers dans le coffre-fort. Enfin, dans le tunnel.
Je finis la cage d'enfer et j'arrive. Le faire j'apprends.
Là, je suis sur ST, hein, les gens. Je suis sur ST.
C'est dommage. J'ai un fils, 3 grosses, 6 splash. Les gens commencent à avancer, hein. La storm là.
Bon, j'arrive, je suis 400 de fer. Là.
Ça va fight météo, je suis en train de le faire, je crois.
Je suis sur ST là, mais après je décalerai sur une autre personne, hein, y a pas à s'inquiéter.
Ouais. Balle derrière si tu veux. Je m'achète.
J'avais 400.
Okay,
j'ai 600 de gold de toute façon, frère.
Ah ouais, parfait. Dis-moi à la station en speed.
Là on est sur Steam, on va aller voir. Mais du coup Talmo lui il n'est pas connecté, mais. Ah si, Fortnite ils sont en live. Fortnite ils sont en live. Si c'est bon, Fortnite ils sont en live.
And kind of put themselves in a position that they want to be in.
Mais est-ce que Mr.
Swaps 274 above. They already have their lower bracket spot secured. 170 points, 31 qualifiers. Just making it this far, you get a guaranteed 25.
Mon gars, les Mr. Savage, ils sont pas cons.
Once you get into that upper bracket, it's a win and you're in situation for those first 5 games. And then you can just need a top placement to continue your upper bracket alive as Kyrie, Gripe trying to do the same thing. One's gonna get knocked. Lusha's soon to follow. There goes 2 quick eliminations inside of Grim Gates
ça joue
as they
bien.
rotate on out. Look at
Ça joue bien les gars.
that they get to choose.
Yo patron, yo les gars, yo chef.
Kyrie, that was a huge flank on the Misha. And then his duo just did not see it coming. They were able to just dash in an instant.
Dézoome ton écran, on voit pas droit.
Taking a look at Uruguay and Julie, also known as Chapix and Juan
Bah
Last.
pourtant c'est pas zoomé.
40 points on the board just from this match so
far. Pourtant c'est pas zoomé là. Hein.
This is crazy, Jacob. I mean, 9 eliminations so early on. I really hope they can keep the momentum going.
C'est pas zoomé là.
Match because this could be one of the biggest games.
Vous préférez comme ça?
The biggest that we'll see today. Issue is though they do have quite a ways to rotate.
Mais là ça fait des arbis les mecs.
As they have the dashes that they can replenish here while they're rotating. So I think they're just kind of spending time to decide, you know, what's the game plan? What's going to be the best rotate?
C'est bizarre, ça doit être ouais, ça doit être Twitch ça.
To what might be the least congested side here alongside the west, where you actually don't even have.
Ça doit être sur Twitch ça. Attends, je vais non, ça doit être sur OBS pardon. Attendez. Ouais, il y a moyen que ce soit OBS qui fasse ça
I think
dans
they feel
capture
safe doing a
d'écran.
rotation like this because exactly what you were saying, that just the loot disparity between them and the rest of the lobby. 2,600
Ouais, c'est ça, c'est
above
OBS.
the damage threshold. Yes, that number was right. With those 9 eliminations and how terrifying they've been on the lobby, they just got to worry about making the zone. And with that well-executed rotation, it is going to be the slower side of the zone with very little contestation on the other side. Art skill, Astral, 5 above. A little bit of breath of fresh air, but they know their job isn't done just yet. They immediately set their eyes on the
Là,
open
normalement,
parts.
vous devriez
The players
mieux
are gonna
voir.
have to rotate in. Shots are being landed left and right, and as soon as they get over 100 above that damage threshold, they immediately rotate, knowing that they have to still get to zone and beat every team there, so that way they can get the perfect spot.
Là, normalement, on doit mieux voir.
Put themselves 112 above. They did what they had to. Reds, though, even being 161 below,
Normalement, on doit voir là.
forced them to kind of find these angles, replacing opponents' builds. Can they get a big shotgun shot through? As Storm Surge is now active,
Nice.
the pressure's on them.
Nice, 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 chef.
Yeah, 180 below.
Ah, ça joue bien, les gars.
Overcome either.
On est sur qui là?
Especially if you're taking damage, it allows you to just get one shot just like that.
Attendez, on va le voir du côté. Là, c'est la fin de zone, hein, c'est intéressant. Regardez combien ils sont. Regardez juste combien ils sont là. Regardez juste combien ils sont. Ah, c'est des fous.
Big pots, minis, Flowberry Fizz, the most important of it all.
What's happened here?
Là, on regarde la late
We saw them
game.
rebooting
Après,
early
on va aller
on.
sur.
So they have had
Quand la late game elle sera finie, on ira sur quelqu'un d'autre.
and X squeezes once again
Tu les trouves mauvais, toi?
been able to manage to get out of these situations. How do they do it though? Let's take a look. Looks like it might have even been a no, I was gonna say 2 versus 1, but it,
Tu les trouves mauvais, toi, chef?
his teammate went. They got the knock, they got the
Tu les...
elim.
Ah bah après, il y a moyen.
What
Peut-être, hein.
matters, though, is they're back in the game.
Peut-être.
I'm not sure with how
Peut-être que
much
tu les
they
manges,
lose,
ça, je
but
sais
they're
pas.
still up,
C'est possible.
which is the important part for Snazy Potosai. 121 above.
Ah, les gars, ils vont prendre la Storm. Ah, elle va mettre du 10, la Storm, là.
What Snazy's looking for with the
Bon, en vrai, si tu les manges, tant mieux pour toi, chef, hein. Franchement, si tu les manges, c'est bien. Si tu les manges, c'est bien. Le bot, il spam. Ouais, c'est normal. Tu veux que je l'enlève? Je l'enlèverai. Regarde. C'est normal, c'est normal.
So even if you get points at this stage in the game, it's not the spot in which you want to go down. You want to start to get consistent top 10s for your efforts.
Voilà, là, j'ai ban le bot 30 minutes.
To worry about later on in the day.
That's the goal for default Kiriache. Let's see where this zone pulls. Okay. Not
Bah,
too
vraiment
bad.
désolé pour le
See them
retard, hein.
quickly reacting to that.
Bah, c'est pas.
Might be one of
Le
the
gameplay qu'on voit là, c'est
here.
pas intéressant. On va décaler du côté des
Get
styles.
inside of the zone. Make
On va décaler du côté des styles, les gars. Ah, ils sont.
On va vous faire chier, vous, sachez-le.
Oh, j'ai la haine, gros. Un coach tuf.
Ah, bien, Missile le bot. Ouais. Ouais, bah oui, bah oui.
Ouais, je pense qu'on va laisser juste réanimer Snooty, je pense. Hein. Non, c'est trop loin. j'en ouf.
Non, c'est
Bah
pas
écoutez,
trop, mais-
sur ST, on reviendra sur la late
Encore, mec,
game.
hein.
Quand ils seront en late game, tu vois, quand ils vont vraiment. Quand ça va être serré, on décalera sur ST. Mais
J'ai pas dit blanc, quoi.
ce que
Mais
je
légumes,
peux
bah,
faire,
Oui.
c'est.
Ouais, non. Non. Il restait genre 2 légumes.
Ouais, c'est sur les FNTS.
Je serais animé fencing en fait, si j'y arrivais.
Gros, hein.
On va actualiser. Ça se trouve. On va actualiser. Ça se trouve que. Ça se trouve, ça a été.
Vas-y, ils veulent te suivre. Hein.
Qui me suivent,
T'as
gros, c'est pas
80
grave.
matchs.
T'es pour quelle équipe Comment ça?
C'est des malades.
Oh là
c'est
là, vas-y, non.
Ah, parce que par ici, il a pris une tarte. Ouais.
Ah, vas-y, j'ai la haine, c'est bon.
Bah tant pis, si c'est pas grave.
Ouais,
C'est
trop,
pas
trop
grave.
bien.
Oh, la double du.
Ouais, lui. Cast, ST, ok. On va décaler bah, du coup sur le compte Fortnite. Sur le live de Fortnite.
so far, I mean,
Dommage, Mr. Savage, je l'ai pas.
they're doing what has to be done to get placement.
It doesn't even look like anybody that had height has even looked up to see
T'es pour
that
qui?
all going down, but I
Bon,
think
en
eventually,
vrai,
with the way the season has been playing, somebody
j'aimerais
will
bien voir
move
des
to the
Français
backside of the
squall.
zone to try to
J'aimerais
steal
bien
away
voir des
height.
Français squall.
Kiriachi in default, though,
En ce
doing
moment,
a
je
job
supporte plus
defensively,
ST.
over 500 above the damage threshold when it comes to Storm Surge, so
En ce moment, je supporte plus ST parce que ST c'est un très bon joueur, les gars. Franchement, mec, il est incroyable. Je supporte plus ST en ce moment parce que j'aimerais bien voir les faire être sur le top. C'était bien joué ça, c'était bien joué. Ah, il est crack. Est-ce qu'il va survivre? Va-t-il survivre? Après, pour une équipe, si tu me parles d'une équipe de foot, je supporte pas d'équipe de foot. Hein. Si tu me parles d'équipe de foot, je supporte pas d'équipe de foot, chef. Mais si tu me parles sur des duos des FNTS, je suis plutôt pour les Français, moi. Je crois que du côté des C, ça lance. Bah, d'ailleurs, il faut que je les suive. Salut Milad. Il y a le PSG qui sont en live. Il y a Joe Lavani. Il caste la... Lui il caste, ok. Ouais, John Lavani il caste aussi. En vrai il y a plein de bugs, ils se sont... Dans tous ils castent, ok. On voit lesquels sur Solari. On va les voir.
Dans la poche.
Yes, ça se trouve, il est en sneaky.
Le floc là, il va récupérer.
Non, meilleure équipe Fortnite. Bah, j'ai pas de préférence. Non, j'ai pas de préférence, j'ai pas de préférence.
Lui, il avait le step ou pas? Ouais, c'est lui qui avait le step.
Comme je l'ai dit, moi en ce moment je regarde quelques joueurs pro. Bah, dommage que mon Graal et Mr Savage soient pas là. Mais en mode. Je supporte plus Esti moi en ce moment. Je supporte trop Esti. Parce que. C'est un français, en vrai, je pense qu'il mérite sa place dans les tops.
C'était Veno?
Actuellement, en ranked, il est top 100.
Le truc, c'est que, à part.
Ah non, mais il est déjà. Ah non, il est pas avec, hein.
Mais il joue trop bien, Steve, le gars. Moi, j'adore ce mec, il joue trop bien.
Il s'est barré vers le cimetière.
Ouais. Attends, ils ont combien de points du coup, Skyden là? 22, 44 pour hard skill, 70 pour.
Et juste, vous allez voir son chat à Steve, c'est marrant, frère.
Au moins, il se fait dans un bush.
C'est surtout Skyden, hein. Faut qu'il nous fasse au puntos là, je vais écrire parce qu'il a le bug.
Ouais, allez. Il est là-haut, Steve. Ah, ils sont encore au lobby. Ils sont encore au lobby. Ici, il leur reste 4 games. Ah, je suis désolé, j'ai du retard, frère. Je suis arrivé. Tu apparais quand dans les FNCS? Bah, malheureusement, moi, j'ai pas pu les faire, les FNCS. Je voulais les faire. Mais j'ai mon mate, en fait, à la dernière minute, il m'a dit qu'il pouvait pas les faire parce que déjà, sur son compte principal, il a pas l'ADF d'activer. Et bah, sur son compte secondaire, en fait, il a l'ADF, mais il n'était pas platine. Le premier week-end, on pouvait pas les faire pour les qualifs. Bah, je me suis dit, bah écoute, c'est pas grave, il y a le week-end prochain, tu vois, pour ce qualif, tu vois. Et là, ce week-end, tu vois, quoi, jeudi, je lui envoie un message, je lui dis, bah chef, vendredi, il y a les FNCS, j'espère que t'es prêt, j'espère que t'as réussi à monter ton compte au moins en platine, tu vois. Parce que je l'avais boost en ranked. Il m'a dit, ouais, tranquille, y a pas de souci, on les fera, on commencera demain soir, on les fera, ok. Je fais, bah ok, tranquille, dans ce cas. Il me fait ok, et du coup, le vendredi, exactement à 18h59, il m'envoie un message et il me dit, ouais, mais chef, je pense pas que je vais pouvoir faire les FNCS, c'est moi qui fais la cuisine aujourd'hui, faire les FNCS, ça va pas être possible. Du coup, bah, j'ai pas pu faire les FNCS à cause de ça. Mais du coup, je suis dégoûté, j'ai le seum. Franchement, j'ai le seum. Franchement, j'ai le seum. Franchement, j'ai le seum. Et normalement, dans un mois et demi, il y a les FNCS encore qui arrivent. C'est des communautaires, c'est des open. On pourra tous les faire. Et ceux dans un mois et demi, j'espère avoir. Ouais, c'est dommage. Ouais, j'espère avoir quelqu'un qui sera dispo pour les faire. Normalement, je vais essayer de les faire avec mon cousin, mais je pense pas qu'il sera dispo. Astuce aussi. J'en profite en live. Astuce pour. Non, ouais, non, je vais vous le dire en vidéo. Ouais, si, je le dirai en vidéo. Astuce pour booster vos performances sur PC quand vous jouez. Ok, mais ça je l'ai fait vite fait. Mais c'est un petit leak. J'allais inviter sur Fortnite. Ouais. Mais voilà, tu vois, c'est dommage, c'est dommage. En fait, faut que je trouve un mate qui joue tout le temps, tu vois, qui joue tout le temps au jeu. Sachant que moi, je joue tout le temps au jeu. Faut que je trouve quelqu'un qui joue tout le temps au jeu. Faut vraiment que je trouve quelqu'un qui joue tout le temps au jeu et qui peut être dispo pour les cups, tout ça.
Y'a personne à gauche. 2 teams, je crois.
Deux teams, ouais.
Fallait m'inviter. Ouais, mais en fait, ça me gêne pas de t'inviter, hein. Mais le truc, c'est que. Voilà. Le truc, c'est que. Tu vois, ça me dérange pas. Vraiment, franchement, ça me dérange pas. Ça me dérange pas de t'inviter. Le truc, c'est que je savais pas que t'allais faire les effets de test. Tu vois, je pensais pas que t'allais les faire. Je pense pas. Mais j'ai cherché un duo. Chômeur. Non, même pas, hein. Je chôme pas, hein. Oh, 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 c'est qui? Attends, il avait qui? Il avait qui? Il avait qui? Il avait qui? Il avait qui?
Je peux pas le voir.
Mais non, il a pas identifié. Il avait qui? Mais il avait qui, frère?
Ouais, il est toujours. Y'a un mec sur moi, deux mecs qui push. Fais gaffe. Ouais, il me push, il push.
Ouais, mais il avait qui, chef?
Je suis là.
Ah, il est.
Il va all-in, hein. Il va all-in, fais gaffe.
Netox. Il est avec Netox. Il est avec Netox. Il est avec Netox.
Go in.
Oh, 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 ça devient intéressant. Ça devient intéressant. Pouah, il est hagra. J'ai pas le niveau. Ah, tu penses que t'as pas le niveau?
Regarde, il se barre là-bas là. Go mettre les splash, il t'a pas mis, hein. J'ai dit. Lâche pas, une balle. Bien joué, gros. Ils sont tellement cons, gros. C'est dénigré d'être cons comme ça.
Non, mais les effets, c'est ça.
Tu sais que je me suis.
Non, mais ça. Non, franchement, ça se joue ça se joue bien, hein.
Ouais, j'ai vu des. Enfin, ils arrivent pas, mais ils sont aux maisons, j'ai vu, ils mettaient des trucs.
Allez. Bon, je vous laisse avec Esti, les gars. Je reviens juste 2 secondes, ok? Je reviens.
Ouais, c'est eux. Désolé, c'est des cheveux. J'ai une droite, moi. Je vais le faire, le coffre.
Ouais, à droite, ouais.
Redescends, tu as une grosse. Va au du splash. Non. C'est bon. T'as des mini, c'est bon, hein?
Oui. Il veut me rentrer dedans là sur moi.
C'est de venir sur moi. Faut descendre en fait.
Vas-y, je descends. Moi je suis descendu.
Nice. Mets-toi les bidons. J'ai une grosse, tu veux?
Ouais, je veux bien.
Tiens.
J'ai 2 flevets, c'est bon, je me mets 2 flevets. Viens.
J'arrive.
J'attends.
Et là au-dessus là. J'ai la tactique vert. T'as du blanc? Nice.
Ouais, j'ai un kit de mini.
Ils vont se barrer, je crois.
C'est pas du tout.
Ouais, je pense qu'ils vont se barrer.
Non, on va voir. On monte soit.
Ouais, viens, monte station à droite. Il a pris la tiro, je sais pas si t'as vu. On va aller vite station à la gare comme ça, on sera bien. Eux ils étaient. Ouais, tu l'avais mis là du coup.
Par derrière.
Vas-y. Tiens, y'a plus rien à loot, je pense, à son chien à tout faire.
Ouais, non.
On n'a pas les drones.
On va aller au main, je pense.
Ouais. Mais je pense qu'il a la gare, je pense, ce mec. Go voir. Comme ça, on est bien.
Attends, je vois pas pour l'instant. Et 2 splash. Ah, sniper, 400 de gold.
On avait des ondes. Il y avait des ondes, Estias.
Ah ouais, bah je suis bien. Et je vais prendre le coffre aussi d'en dessous.
On fait le tunnel ou pas? Déjà été fait le tunnel.
Il a été fait?
Ouais, il a été fait.
J'ai un fils, tu peux le prendre?
Ouais.
Là j'ai 3 kits de mini de splash.
Prends le fils.
Allez, je vais faire le coffre et les ondes ou pas?
Ouais, go. Je les prends, je peux les stack. J'ai acheté une PM bleue. C'est cheat en moins une PM bleue, faudrait que je la reprenne, je pense. Lui, je pourrais pas mettre de la storm.
Avec des MR, moi. Ah, je crois qu'il y en avait.
Au-dessus, elle était à gauche. Hein. Les ondes étaient à gauche. Faudrait aller à la station 8 avant qu'on la pète aussi.
Je vais d'abord prendre les coffres.
Vas-y. T'as combien de gold?
Là j'en ai 150 là.
Ok. On regarde s'il y avait des.
J'ai eu des zones, c'est bon, j'ai 6.
Nice. Bon, heureusement, j'en avais pas en fait.
Ah, y'en a pas?
Patron, mais je vais bientôt partir, hein. Je vais. Alors, attends. J'ai pas 1% de leur niveau, MDR. Je sais pas. Mais moi, franchement, sans plaisanter, je pense que je les aurais fait. J'aurais eu quelqu'un pour les faire entièrement. J'aurais eu moyen que je me colle, hein. Franchement, je vais être honnête, hein. Parce que j'étais trop, tu vois, je m'étais trop préparé, tu vois, je me suis préparé à toutes les situations qu'il pouvait avoir en FNCS, gros. J'ai fait des mobs avec des storms, des rotas impossibles, tout ça, tu vois. Si j'avais vraiment un bon mec, quelqu'un qui jouait, qui pouvait les faire, je pense qu'il y avait moyen. J'aurais peut-être pas réussi à me coller en finale, jusqu'en finale, mais j'aurais réussi à aller jusqu'en quart. Jusqu'en quart, voire demi.
En l'air là, fais gaffe. Hein.
Tu vois.
Toi, full zone, ça c'est carré.
Mais c'est dommage, comme je l'ai dit, c'est dommage.
Zone
Mais bon,
d'administration, putain,
ça m'embête un peu. C'est pas grave. Chef, je reviens sur le stream, ok? Faut que j'aille graille. Je vous remets sur la chaîne officielle de Fortnite. Donc je vous laisse avec leur live. Et on viendra sur ST plus tard.
Right? He's been around for the longest time, right? And he's never necessarily had the craziest of peaks. But
Faut un entraîneur. Ouais, j'en ai un. Moi, j'en ai un. J'ai un coach. Je te laisse modérer en attendant que je revienne, chef. Merci. S'il y a des gens, n'hésite pas à leur dire que je suis allé manger, ok? Que je reviens dans quelques minutes.
Don't go Vortexes. I want to give you an excuse to talk about them because it did come down to that 1v1 in the final moment of the River Styx. So, just any opportunity, I guess, I want to give you to heap some praise on them.
Thank you very much. I was just kind of waiting for you there to tee me up for Volko Vortexes. You know, I've been excited. Whenever I see these guys in endgame, you know, I'm licking my lips. I'm like, these guys are going to perform well. Didn't quite end up with the victory royale right there. I think for these guys, it doesn't matter, right? It doesn't matter. They're not here to win games. They're here just to be consistent. We saw that last season as well. Levin, you seem a bit...
It was close though, because when Vortexes were healing off, he had 3 dashes, and if he had dashed towards where the zone closed, there was like some bananas and other heals, but I just don't think he realized. So in the moment, he's probably panicking, running out of heals. But he actually could have probably even won that game, to be fair.
Yeah, I think the way they play that, I mean, Vortex took a big shot, right? So I think if he didn't take that big shot, he might have survived. I think he could have used the dash, as you mentioned, just to get further away, even maybe in towards that loot. It would have definitely saved him. So yeah, maybe hit the drawing board for those guys, but they're still my favorite team.
I think I might have made a mistake asking you to talk about Vocal Vortexes, Minnie, because you just can't stop this man once he's popped. But we do need to jump into yet another lobby. Let's see where C2's got to with Jacob and Takata.
Thanks, Frankie. We're actually going to take a look at Andalex and Sado. This is a duo that's on the borderline of the upper bracket. I believe in terms of series points, they've got around 345, which put them at 47th. When I believe it's 50, Jacob, if not 55, that make it to the upper bracket. So they're right there on the borderline. All they need to do is close it off with a good end to these qualifiers. And it looks like they know that because they're playing it extra safe here.
Yeah, give or take like a top 50 position here on the leaderboard, maybe closer to around another 47th place, which is where they're currently at on the series point leaderboard, ironically enough. And with what we've seen from this team, even dating back to last major, from what we've seen throughout the first week of the qualifiers, I would be more surprised if they don't make the upper bracket than if they do make the upper bracket, especially with how sound they're actually playing here right now.
Another duo, very popular veterans of EU, Pablo and Bevies. And so far, I mean, they're just kind of chilling. Keep it a buck here, Jacob. They're just vibing out, emoting. 2 Flowberry Fizzes, 3 bananas in the loadout. I mean, at this point, things start to slow down a little bit, especially if you're able to get some eliminations off the start of the match or even in your mid game here and you know you have enough damage. You don't want to take any risks. You don't want to get eliminated in these zones when you have enough loot, mats, and damage to make it to the end game. As it's all about consistency in these formats where you have 10 matches in 3 hours to get as many points as possible. Being the last chance as well for all of these duos to qualify to the semifinals. You don't want to be getting knocked out early.
Nah, it's almost a very disappointing thing to where you're looked at as one of the players in the region that has qualification on lock, and then things slip up. They don't go your way in week 1. You put a lot of pressure on in week 2, and if it doesn't happen, it kind of does stuff mentally. And that's where I'm looking at some of these teams. You know, it's not only about the mechanical skill, it's about that mental fortitude to be able to stay tough in situations like this. As Sined is just getting targeted out inside of the bush or not, down to just 65 HP, and you can see he's waiting for his teammate to reunite before a lot of these heals start to come out.
Trying to figure out, what do I use? They got big pots, they got splashes, they got a Flowberry Fizz. What's the most efficient way to get both of us healed up here? Is what they're thinking. As we can see as well, some duos already based up on the Rift Island. Others inside their, what I'll call storm surge bases. Very elevated. A lot of field of view here on the opposing duos rotating through the map. With that DMR in hand, it's a good combo to get those tags.
Yeah, it's one of the changes we've seen very, very drastically from DMRs in the past to a season like this is with everything being projectile, it makes it much more of a weapon that has a use case in lobbies just like these, especially once you get into more of these set style lobbies to where it's only the best of the best in competition, to where you don't want to have your surge plan be just get into a box. You want to have as much distance as possible and as little risk as possible to get that damage, and that's why you're seeing so many players carry the DMR and then switch them off towards the end game when they have an opportunity to pick up something else like heals or maybe even a Thunderburst.
You can see a lot of players as well. A common trend is boxing up on top of the rifts that appear under the rift island, they can use to rotate through when that zone closes, even just using the launch pads on the island. You got to be careful though, because there is going to be duos that are already based up inside of those upcoming zones, and they will be looking for you as you're gliding on through. Yarko, Darkest though. Trying to think here, are they in an engagement, or are they just kind of taking pop shots back and forth with the duo below them? Both teams with full HP and shield.
A little bit of a chess match. Trying to see if they can get some damage for that surge. And as other teams move in, because right now they are in center zone, that's when things will typically slow down. They make that final decision if they want to fight or not. And as that other team started to move in, Yarko started to shoot some shots in that direction. Let him know, like, hey, we at least see you, even though his intention might not be to fight him right away.
A lot of the times in these matches, you'll see exactly that. It's kind of people starting engagements, but not with the end goal of getting eliminations, more just doing damage to the opponents and not putting themselves at a risk of getting eliminated. Just taking pop shots back and forth in a box fight. Especially when you have this position that you're so centered zone, and you know that there's going to be a lot of duos rotating towards you. You can't even take shots at those players. Moneymaker for 9. Being one of the duos that has to rotate in.
$80 points so far. Slowly but surely trying to climb up the ladder. You can kind of see the storm surge thresholds there on the right, and it's not typically to this 5th, even 6th zone that you're seeing here where storm surge starts to turn on for a lot of these players, and you see how many need to fall before everybody's safely gonna have that storm surge turn off. But for Moneymaker and for Nine, it's very, very worrisome, or little worrisome right now, since they're continuously climbing above that damage threshold, make it to where they don't need risky peaks, but when you're Moneymaker, you peak when you want to peak.
Yeah, I mean, we just saw it appear as 50 players for 6th zone. That was the threshold, so only 6 players need to be eliminated in theory here. With the amount of snipes that Moneymaker has hit, 641 above is more than enough to not be worried about doing more damage. So they're going to use that mountain goat strategy again, go on the edge of the mountain here. Have a good amount of vision on the players below, but also if they need to rotate back above, they will not have too much of a problem doing so.
22 continuously climb. Good. They were able to get to you, and they dropped him just into the box. And they fell through like a hot knife through butter. And with a 2v1, they made that one look easy. Storm Surge being a real push and pull game for a lot of these teams, especially for those that haven't necessarily found the consistency to be able to handle it.
Dexy Eclipse, this was the duo that was just kind of taking pop shots at the opposing team without fully committing to the engagement. And once again, they're kind of just playing it extra slow, getting to zone, and not too many worries at all in terms of damage.
Two Blowberry Fizzes here. Gonna be a huge pushing point. It's Yarko. That was who got dropped into the box. His teammate moments ago. He's able to get a knock onto one. Oh, a little bit of a mistake there. Accidentally picks up his teammate, trying to throw him as a distraction here. This is what you earned, but he goes down all the same. But luckily for them, the way the format works, they can get right into another lobby.
I mean, it kind of worked picking up his teammate in a sense. He blocked that initial shotgun shot, but the SMG did more than enough damage to finish him off. The Slove here Only 38 above. This is a lot more of a risky situation to be in. Oh, this could be it though. The box almost comes through, unable to continue it though, as he's going to be the one that gets cracked.
Yeah, you can kind of see everybody, all the decision making in progress, where they're moving forward, kind of second guess, backtracking, 11 above, trying to spot somebody through these builds who they could target, but almost get sprayed back. And now you can see like, hey, maybe that's a solo down there by himself, but as they're 45 above the damage threshold, they're at least feeling comfortable to survive for now while remaining proactive and getting the information of where not only the next rotation is going to come in, of where they can get the surge on somebody else.
For now was the key word there, as now they're 36 below, 16 above. It's going back and forth. It's like a light switch just flickering. They need to find something here as they continue to find a pickaxe, an opening, an angle to connect that shotgun shot. No heals in the inventory, but now they get right into the action, get a crack onto their opponent. 25 white 2 times, one more shot needed. Can they connect it? Unable to. As now, do they leave with that damage? Do they continue to try and find that elimination? They could use an impact here. It looks like they're in need of shields.
Yeah, they're still looking for him. They just don't know where he went. He was able to lose him on the tail end of that chase. All that damage that they're really not able to capitalize on him, but at least they're above the damage threshold. That's going to be the biggest and most important thing so far, as you see where the zone is pushing a lot of these teams. As Naze and Psycho Evans, they were the ones that have the best position.
Je suis revenu. Ah, y a plus personne.
Isn't ultimate height like we've seen so far. An 8th zone might be a little too soon, but the sniper shots and the pressure is going to continue for this team unless anybody decides to challenge.
Je suis revenu. Wesh, mon micro il tient vraiment plus.
Really depends where this first moving closes. We'll know that information in about 13 seconds here when 8 closes. Sened though, what's gone wrong? Duo partner has been eliminated. Now forced to use those dashes to get back into the zone. 140 above, even without his duo. With no more shields, no more heals. An impact is what he's looking for next.
Yeah, especially as you mentioned, by himself. Decent material, especially when it comes to the hard mats, but he's just knocking on the door, firing and flip monk.
Regarde ce qu'ils font sud, regarde ce qu'ils font sud.
Ils sont sur quoi ici, tout ça? Wesh. Mais les gens, Esti joue trop bien. Hein. Esti joue trop bien avec Netox.
Une team de la guerre en dessous sont trop bien.
Mais ici joue trop bien, je cherche même pas à comprendre.
Après à gauche, il y a personne du coup.
Montagne, team.
Talmo ils sont en stream. Ah, ils sont. Talmo il est sur le stream d'Esti.
Ils sont en solo. Ils se fait tirer dessus par je sais pas qui. Là, ouais, là. C'est son mec qui arrive là. Crack 130, 113.
Wesh. Très très belle balle, hein.
On va devoir aller sur eux.
Il lui a mis une belle balle.
Ah, dans la zone encore là? What?
To breathe, and with the Flowberry Fizz, he could try to strike down from above.
He's got to be careful here. Just one shotgun shot could be enough to take him out. Looks like this is where he's going to play the med kits. Has 2 of them. Is he going to keep rotating in before using the last one? It looks like he will. With only 4 builds left, though, he has to be careful. Yarko slipping.
Ça joue bien, ça joue bien.
Ankle's almost broken there, down to 25 HP. As now he has to be forced to use this med kit.
Oh, because he just landed a shot on the sky.
Trop fort Esti, ouais, Esti, ouais. Esti il est archi bon. Esti il est archi bon. Hein. Là c'est pas moi qui vais te contredire sur ça, Esti il est archi bon.
So no placement points just yet as Skies and Script, they're trying to move through. They don't want to go towards that ultimate low ground. They know how dangerous it can be. A nice flank by Yarko, but Over is going to be the one to take him out.
Moneymaker for 9, both together.
Ah, il y a Moneymaker. Il y a Moneymaker. Attendez, on va aller le voir, on va aller le voir. On va aller le voir, on va aller voir Money.
Looking to see if there's even an opportunity or angle for them to jump into a old tarp. As they continue dropping down, continue taking shots, still grouped up here. They do not have enough materials to build their own tarp, so they're trying to find what they can recycle.
Yeah, they can't let anybody sneak up on them either. They got to be on their toes as Pablo's in the same spot, but just a few more builds to work with. Gets targeted from above, and that's why you see him build that extra box outward. He wants room. As Moneymaker gets spotted out, Pablo lands a couple shots, but it's not going to be enough to follow up on just yet.
3 medkits. Zone does pull back, though. This is huge for Pablo, as Andalex now forced up the ridge, up the hill. An incredibly difficult rotate to get yourself out of, especially with the amount of duos that are rotating out from below. You can see they're all jumping around.
Wow,
like fishes flopping in the water as Andalex gets knocked.
Wow, la late game là, va être trop serrée, hein.
Still using the med kit.
No builds, no heals to stay alive. They were just looking up that mountain. No.
La late game là, va être serrée, frère.
As Grimes Capper, they're trying to smoothly move through this build, stay ahead of
Ah, je crois qu'ils sont plus que 5 ou... Ils sont combien là? Ouais, ils sont 4.
But it's enough to keep them going further and further in this game. Pablo trying to do the same. Use his last med kit, use his splashes.
Ouais, il y a la balle qu'il a pris par contre.
Oh, this is where he finally goes down to firing.
Oh, il joue le high.
Oh, Eclipse, Dexy up above, looking to close it out though. Question is, do they have med kits? Do they have heals, or do they need to go for those eliminations? We can see Flipmonk behind in zone. Is he trying to retake height from the back? Does he want to play heal off early? Caper still below. Pressure being applied from above. Flipmonk now trying to get into the box.
Oh, le top.
With the elimination, but goes
Il
down
a
as
tellement spam.
That was amazing. They were on the high ground, worried about where they're gonna get the heals from. You saw none in their inventory, but Dexy and Eclipse, that's the way the games have been going to date. The team on the high ground, calm, cool, collected, comfortable, while everything down below is just pure chaos that they don't have to take part in. And just like that, the snap of a finger, 3 teams go down and they're gifted the win.
Ok, bonne game. Alors, mon petit testi. Mon petit testi.
Je suis là. J'ai pas vu où.
Je vais mettre un coup sniper à gauche là.
Ok.
Ici là.
Mon petit testi.
27 shield, 54.
Aïe aïe aïe. Ils sont en late game en plus. Hein. Let's go, Esti. Fais-moi rêver.
Non, la fille, tranquille.
Fais-moi rêver, Esti. Sur late game, ils ont 2 kills. Ils ont.
Les premiers faits, on fait une pause, on est obligé.
Vas-y. Ici, deadshot.
Vas-y, go.
Ils sont en fin de zone, hein, les gars. Ils sont en late game.
Passe à côté des bulles pour bulles. Ça tire derrière. Là, regarde, tu peux les baiser lui, peut-être, au snipe.
Ouais.
Tu tires au snipe, fais gaffe. Ouais, j'ai vu. J'ai une grosse pour toi.
Ah ouais, faut qu'il fasse gaffe au-dessus.
On est
Hein.
trop bien, on est.
Ah, Esti, Khalas. Ah, Esti. Par contre, du coup, ouais, bah oui, faut qu'il farm.
Je bute pas. C'est fait crack ici, go, faut le tuer lui.
Je suis pas avec toi,
Je crois qu'il est là, je crois que c'est lui.
J'arrive.
Il a retake. Check toi. Ouvre.
Ils sont deux. Ils sont deux, Esti. Khalas. Khalas. Allez, Esti.
J'ai plus rien, faut en
Là, lui, par exemple. Crack, lâche, go.
Allez, Esti, bien joué.
Faut le tuer.
Allez, Esti.
Il est où?
Je suis dans la rue. Ah non, t'es 50 plus, c'est un autre.
T'es un monstre. Check toi. Là, il est là, le mec solo. Il va hit. Non. Pas en dessous. Il est mort pour le stuff.
Non,
Nice. Bravo, c'est grand, je suis trop bien. Non, je suis pas, ça va.
J'essaye.
J'ai un. Attends, je monte avec toi.
Je suis low. Oh, tu m'as fait tomber dessus.
J'ai un HP. Go le tuer. Non. Oh, je suis mort.
Il a pris une balle de snipe, gros.
C'est top 12.
Ah, dommage, Esti. Ah, dommage. La late game, là, je la sentais bien. Dommage, Esti, dommage.
Ah ouais, les autres sont à l'opposé.
Ah, ils ont combien de points? Wow. Ça va.
Ouais, tu sais qu'il y avait. T'avais un refresh et moi j'avais un refresh derrière. Mais j'avais rien, j'ai eu 80 points.
Ah, pas de bol, Esti, c'est pas grave.
Je suis mort par une balle de sniper, je crois.
C'est pas grave, Esti, c'est pas grave.
Balle de poing.
Tranquille. Attends, je vais aller voir les tops, ils sont combien? Ils sont classés quoi? Esti, il est incroyable. J'actualise. Les premiers. Waouh. Alba eSport. Oh. Nature eSport. Ah ouais, il y a plein de structures eSport, les gars. Alba, ok. Ah, il y a plein de e-sport team. Waouh, il y a plein de... Ah, c'est là qu'on voit la beauté des FNCS. Hein. Et s'il est où? À mon avis, il est pas dans les top 100 lui. Hein. Je pense pas qu'il soit dans les top 100. Qu'est-ce que l'on raconte sur le côté de Fortnite?
I mean, last week though, they didn't make it out of opens. So, you know, that's a team that are that was a confusing thing for me, not seeing Moneymaker make it into the finals, let alone just crashing out in opens and then going on to win 2 games in the performance of Val. They had a second, it's like an incredible performance and a really nice bounce back. And that's exactly what we like to see from some of our top teams.
Yeah, we're seeing Sanguild and Marius having another particularly good week as they did last time. We're seeing Nathan and CCB also.
C'est les classements.
And actually on the first page of the standings, I believe in the 8th position, we have Venno and Tayson as well, 11. I guess this is to be expected from them. Although, you know what, if you cast your mind back to Major number 1, they hadn't necessarily found their footing, but it seems like they're getting some more consistency now.
Yeah, absolutely.
Ça, c'est les classements, c'est les classements.
Figure out this season more so. Janice and Flix, you're a team that needs to start to figure things out, and it looks like they have so far today. 23rd, moving up a bit slowly but surely. Again, it's a weird one with Janice and Flix. I think you look at how most people view this team, and you see them as a top team, right? I mean, they did so well last season, even though the finals didn't quite go their way. You'd still expect them to come in this season and you know, be strong, maybe come back with a bit of a vengeance, right? But qualify 1, not the best of performances. And then coming in here to qualify 2, it's like they're having to make up for lost time. You know, I think the big thing with these 2 is if they can start to find a bit more rhythm, momentum, and let the previous bads of this season, you know, stop clouding their minds, they definitely can be a top team.
Yeah, they can. And there's a lot of hype around this team, particularly going into last Grands as well. They were one of the teams that everyone, I know I was one, that was backing them to win it all, and coming out of that,
Ça, c'est les
qualifiés,
so là.
Can harm your sort of confidence and your ability to get back up again and say, you know what,
là, il montre les qualifiés.
Hasn't, of course, got off to the best start. They stick to the same drop as well. And even though Reckless Fairway is not necessarily as good of a drop spot as it was last season, if they can try and make that their home, if they can try and enjoy the lack of pressure maybe this season, they could go a little bit further, because I think that was what was holding them back last season.
A duo that does need to have a good day in order to make it to the upper bracket of the semis in a few weeks' time is Malibuka and Mustache. Now, they have already locked in their spot at the Global Championships in Dallas later this year because, of course, they were our champions of Major number 1. What do you think you can expect from them, or we can expect from them, Levin, for the rest of today's lobby? Do you think that they're going to just get better and go from strength to strength?
It's hard. When you're landing Grim Gate in the EU, you're not really going to have much consistency. That's been the theme for all of the top Grim Gate teams. And, you know, I know that's been like the talk of the town, really, right? Where it's very much been like, well, Peter Von Poyer land Grim Gate in NA and they just sort of smoke everybody, right? It's pretty easy. And it's not been like that for Malibuka, Mustache, or any of the other top teams that land Grim Gate. And it just seems to be a different beast in here. You have a lot more teams that are really good coming into third party, and they don't care who it is that has the coin. They're going to fight for it. And as much as Malibuka and Mustache are top players, that can be tough to deal with. If anybody has played Grimgate this season, no matter what level of Fortnite.
Bonjour City Roblox, so XX City Roblox.
When you have a bunch of teams and players third party.
Bonjour, bonjour, bonjour.
Yeah, we'll see whether they can, you know, find some consistency, but landing Grimgate is,
okay.
Yeah, it's not
ah
the place for consistency.
Ah ouais, et si ils ont déjà 2 kills.
Well, you know what, we're trying to see if.
Et si Eto ils ont déjà 2 kills dans leur game.
Winners of Day 2's qualifier in Major number 1. Can they do it with Day 2's qualifier in Major number 2? Let's go and join them with Takata and Jacob here.
Moneymaker, 128 kills, 128 points, pardon.
Thank you so much, Frankie, Levin, and Minnie, getting us the lay of the land of the game.
Là, c'est parti, du coup, on va se mettre les games.
What some players need to do. Yanis and Flixie, we talked about it to start the show. They need about 150th place finish.
Ça se boxe tout le temps, les FNCS, hein. C'est archi.
They're 25th on the leaderboard. They're doing well.
Bah là, la game, elle vient de se lancer. Faut que j'aille voir.
And they're getting in form for that FNCS semifinals a few weeks away.
Hop, on va décaler sur ST. On décale sur ST. Par contre, qu'est-ce qu'il fait?
Des splash, tu peux prendre 5 millions en fizz, moi.
Ah ouais, je peux prendre.
Ah, j'espère qu'il peut prendre. Ça va, City Roblox?
Je cherche chasseur gris. Pour moi, c'est mieux.
Ah, j'ai des splash encore.
Comment tu vas, City Roblox?
toi qui. Ouais, c'est toi. Coffre trésor encore. Nous en mets bien, on se
Merci pour ton abonnement, City Roblox. Bah, je crois que c'est toi qui t'es abonné.
ping, je suis sûr.
Merci beaucoup.
On n'a pas looté toutes les maisons, les bidons de shield et tout.
Merci beaucoup pour ton abonnement.
Non, y'a plus de ping du chat, ça.
Regarde, si, moi je le vois.
Moi, je le vois pas.
Merci beaucoup pour ton abonnement, chef. Tu gères.
Ah, mais ils ont fait du coup les maisons.
T'es un crack.
De l'autre côté, les maisons, on l'a pas fait.
T'es un crack.
Distrib de snipe.
J'ai 27
Ouais,
balles de
sniper
snipe.
épique.
Ok, moi j'en ai un.
Et 200 de gold là.
Ok.
Vas-y, je vais acheter.
T'es sûr? Vas-y si tu veux. Hein. J'ai 450 de gold, je peux t'acheter si tu veux.
Ah, remarque, attends.
Moi j'ai un snipe. Hein. J'ai 6 millions en fils moi.
Ah, j'ai 2 kits, 4 splash.
Les kits,
De grosses.
ça se passe de grosses. Ouais, t'es bien.
Ah là là, on a gagné un avant en plus. Merci beaucoup. Oui, ça va.
Si je te casse pas les
Bah, moi ça va. Merci beaucoup.
Ouais,
Bienvenue à toi. Et j'espère que tu te plairas dans ma commis parmi mes abos.
tu veux,
Les gars, je vous mets le groupe Snap. Le groupe Snap que j'ai fait pour les abos, ok. Tout le monde peut se parler dedans.
j'ai 27 balles, ouais.
N'hésitez pas à rejoindre le groupe Snap hein, pour jouer. Tout s'organise dedans. N'hésitez pas.
Je suis full plus 16. Je rachète un peu.
N'hésitez pas à rejoindre le groupe. Les gars, je vais créer le lien d'invitation.
Je pose. Tiens, tu veux prendre les kits?
Je vais créer le lien d'invitation et je vais vous ajouter. Je vais vous ajouter. Hop, créer. Tac. Tac. Je vous mets le groupe, le lien du groupe Snap.
Après mon tester, j'ai pas looté. J'aurais dû looter quoi.
Normalement, Nightbot il a été déban.
Ah, mais à la zone.
T'es classé quoi? Je suis classé diamant 3 à 60%. Je crois. Groupe Snap, n'hésitez pas à le join.
Ouais, je trouve pas de grosses, dommage.
Attends, est-ce que je peux l'épingler lui? Non, je peux pas. Pourquoi ça veut pas?
Mini pont violet.
Voilà, épinglé, voilà.
Ouais, j'arrête.
Il est dans la Steve.
Non, mais tranquille, j'étais classé élite. J'étais classé élite, mais je suis redescendu parce que j'ai fait le con. Et là, je vais remonter. Ce soir, normalement, j'ai joué, je remonte.
T'as pris une air, t'as le snipe? C'est pas dit?
Ouais,
GG, merci beaucoup, patron.
parce que j'avais le DM.
Merci beaucoup.
Il avait pas qui gérer.
Ok, moi j'ai une PM.
Écoute, on reviendra sur ST quand il sera en fin de zone. On va décaler sur la chaîne de Fortnite. Ok. Je vais décaler sur la chaîne de Fortnite et comme ça, on va pouvoir... suivre les FNTS encore.
Antonio, they get tagged up, and that forcing Cloud Seed to have to disengage off of that position because with the rifting players coming in, they are going to be the first targets that anybody does go after if they're trying to drop onto somebody, which creates a moment of opportunity for Flixie and Yanis to kind of finally breathe, solidify their position here, finally capturing it and get all the loot.
Je rejoins le groupe. Ah, tu gères, patron. Merci beaucoup. Tu gères.
There it is. Switching items, making sure they got the loadout they're happy with.
Tu gères,
You
tu
can see
gères.
them, they're reforming the floors, or he's making use of the time you have, whether it be getting mats, getting tags,
Tu gères.
or looting up.
N'hésite pas à écrire dedans si tu veux parler, tout ça. Faut pas hésiter. Et les gars se parlent. C'est un peu le vlog de mes abos. C'est un peu le vlog des abos. Et des fois, ils viennent, ils déposent quelques trucs sur eux. Enfin, ils parlent. Tout ça. Ils sachent que dans ce groupe, on est chill. On joue. Tout le monde se respecte. Il n'y a pas d'insultes. Ok. S'il y en a, enfin, quelques fois, mais c'est de la rigolade. Il n'y a rien à prendre au sérieux. Surtout dans le groupe. Je veux pas de moquerie. Ok. J'ai créé un groupe Snap pour réunir ma communauté. Et je veux pas de moquerie, ok, sachant qu'il y en a qui n'ont pas Discord, et du coup le groupe m'a été demandé et j'étais ok. Comme ça tout le monde peut me parler, et bien sûr que c'est le groupe pour les abos. Tout le monde peut parler, tout le monde peut... Voilà. Tant qu'il n'y a pas de trucs bizarres dedans, ça me va. Pour l'instant ça joue bien de ce que je vois. Pour l'instant ça joue bien de ce que je vois, ça joue bien. La guilde Voltiax. Ok, ok, je vois. Pour l'instant ça prend les infos. Il se passe quoi du côté d'Esti? Esti il est en fight les gars, attendez. On va les coller sur Esti parce que je crois qu'Esti il est en fight. Ouais, Esti qui se fait spam là. Va-t-il s'en sortir? Aïe. Oh là là, il y a une team sur Esti. Là ça va s'écorcer un peu. Ils ont pas de luck hein.
vais tout de suite ou pas? Ou ils étaient
je
sur.
crois pas, ils étaient full box sur ma carte. Ah, remarque. Ok, il a mis KO, je pense.
Il a tué.
Juste attends, Max.
Bah t'inquiète, c'est pas grave, c'est pas grave. Salut, c'est Ray. Je me suis abo. Merci beaucoup.
Il est en solo.
Et bienvenue à toi, merci beaucoup.
Il a tué en solo.
Bienvenue à toi, merci beaucoup, merci beaucoup. Je crois qu'il va devoir jouer la zone. Hein. Il a 2 kits en vrai, il pète un peu la zone jusqu'à ce que les 2 autres partent. Sachant qu'il y a une autre team qui se ramène encore. Donc Esti il est foutu. Je pense qu'Esti il est foutu. Hein, Esti il est foutu hein, les gars.
Oh. En fait, du coup, là, je vais devoir aller avant lui, vu que t'es mort avant lui.
Ouais, mais.
C'est pas moi.
Est-ce qu'il va s'en sortir?
Pas la plaque, là.
Parce qu'ils ont 119 points, les gars. Je sais même pas, elle a combien la qual pour là au final.
Ah, remarque, j'ai entendu un truc flobé là à gauche. Sans lui.
Guettez le lance d'Esti. Il va pas danser là. Il est au FNCS, il va pas danser. Ah, il fait le cœur, il fait le cœur. Il a fait le cœur, il a pas dansé. Ah, sa musique elle est trop stylée par contre hein, quand il danse. Il a une petite danse là quand je me suis abonné, elle est trop drôle. Elle est trop drôle. Elle est lente. Merci beaucoup pour l'abonnement, chef. Hein. Vraiment, merci beaucoup. Le Twitch, c'est pas le bon lien, les gars. Faudrait que j'essaie de récupérer mon ancien compte. Bien joué ça pour la récupération de la carte. Mais il va le Yao là. Ouais. Le truc c'est que je pense qu'il y aura full monde.
Oh là là, on passe de trop bien.
Ouais, ça. Lui il est toujours là. Lui il attend toujours, frère. Ils vont tenter de l'oreiller en zone, mais je pense qu'ils vont se faire jouer. Mais ils vont grave se faire jouer par contre. Hein.
Je pense qu'il faut faire gaffe à l'autre solo.
Ouais, fais gaffe.
Ils vont grave se faire. Regarde, hein. Regarde comment ils vont. Ils vont grave se faire jouer par contre. Hein. On va décaler du coup sur le
Point dashes from the river sticks there.
officiel.
Swap still fighting for a little bit of that piece control, pushing his opponents further and further back to where they're back.
Ouais, ils sont à late game, les gars.
And with so much action
Wow.
going down around the
Oh, il a démoli là.
For the teams I'm excited to see here today, find another
Oh, lui,
elimination
il est
on
knock,
the
il est dans.
Clownski, getting elimination points, but Flixie just gets stuck.
DT, les gars, vous remarquez, ils sont tous sur le côté, hein. Il n'y a personne au milieu. Hein. Il n'y a personne au milieu de la zone, hein, les gars. Ils sont tous sur le côté. Le bot, il casse les. Le bot, il est chiant.
That could be the end of Giannis as he only has 3 builds to work with here. I believe there's even a duo to his right.
Je reviens, je vais voir un truc. Il n'y a pas de souci, chef.
120 effective HP and shield.
N'hésitez pas à rejoindre le groupe Snap. Le groupe Snap pour les abos au nouveau. Voici le groupe Snap, n'hésitez pas à le rejoindre. On est une dizaine, voire une quinzaine dedans. Tout le monde se parle dans le groupe Snap, n'hésitez pas. Il est en commentaire épinglé, rejoignez le groupe Snap pour les actus, pour les news, concernant les vidéos live, je les donne sur Snap, même les récompenses, même les concours que je fais, je dis sur Snap, ok. Donc n'hésitez pas à rejoindre le groupe, je viens de vous mettre le lien, n'hésitez pas à le rejoindre, et à chaque fois je vous mets des infos dedans.
It's just one more shot on both players. He can even take them both out here.
Oui, là. Waouh, c'était sûr. C'était sûr, gros, il a raté sa première balle, frère. Wow. La balle qui s'est mangée, par contre, lui. Attends, je crois ici ils sont en late game, non? Non, pas encore. Ouais, la shot qu'il a ici, par contre, il a retrouvé un kit. La chatte qu'il a ici, par contre, il a retrouvé un kit. Ça se passe comment du côté de Moneymaker, les gars? Ils sont en train de rota, ok? Ça fuse. Wow, ok. Pour l'instant, ça fuse du côté de Moneymaker.
Can they hold on to it as the zone has pulled more southeast? opposite side almost for this duo. So you can see the Flowberry Fizz is in hand. They do have 3 dashes, both of them, but you almost kind of want to conserve these dashes as much as you can, which is why they're going to use it with that Flowberry Fizz to maximize the mobility that they can get.
Voilà, rota.
Quick moves to the front side of the zone.
La rota elle est bien en vrai. Ouais, la rota elle est grave bien. Le rota elle est grave bien.
But as soon as they prioritize positioning over everything else, you see them slow things down.
Le rota elle est grave bien.
To move forward. They're just about 1
Regardez,
box away from the safety of
regardez à combien ils sont, frère, c'est des fous furieux.
Positioning, there's very, very little for them to worry about, unlike everybody else in this lobby, where you see the majority still have a couple steps to make before they find their peaks. He's able to get the knock onto one, tries to clean up as much of the loot, and look how many resources, look at everything he's just gotten to try to push himself further.
En vrai, ça joue bien, ça joue bien. Ça joue grave bien. Ah, Zaoxy, je t'aime. Ah, je t'aime aussi, beau gosse. J'aime tous mes abonnés, chef.
Flowberry Fizz coming out. I did see a med kit, but he just didn't have time to pick it up. He had to scrounge and grab together whatever he could in that few seconds.
Parce que... Ouais, yeah.
Games have been on today. Julie with the quick scope taken down.
Il s'est pris un quick scope, frère. Le quickscope qu'il lui a mis, gros. Ça joue bien. Regarde, il va tenter. Oh là là. Oh là là. What? Ils ont eu les mêmes. Les commentateurs, ils ont eu la même réaction que moi, les gars. Même réaction. What? Ah, c'était beau. Ok, ça c'est splash.
Put some respect on my name is what Julie told us.
Là, ça va rota.
Continuing with the wrath here on the low ground, sniper in hand, not missing
Je vous
a
l'agrandis.
single shot. For Voltiax though, gonna be trying to tarp ahead here. They have the opportunity to look back now at the duos who are gonna be a bit more staggered. Can they get the damage?
That's gonna be a real question we're asking ourselves. For anybody realistically, is Mappy and Kiro trying to take control of the backside before they make the rotation forward. One piece before they make the wild jump. Switching layers momentarily is going to be Mappy before Kiro finds themselves the golden spot, the golden layer above everybody else, and which is where they're going to make their stand.
Les mecs, ils sont tout le temps en mouvement. Tout le temps.
Gonna be using the Flowberry now to get ahead. Julie, Headhunter. Can they continue now as they've almost been split up with the
la chatte.
Wow.
Ah, il joue trop bien, il joue trop bien. Il joue trop bien. Oh, ils l'ont démonté, hein. Sécuriser son loot, bien joué. Ils l'ont démoli. Ouais, ils sont allés de game. Et si je shoot.
To survive, they get an opening to the side of the zone. Even without build, they have a chance to recycle here.
Est-ce se fait shoot, les gars? Ouais, il a pris une balle. Il se fait knock. On voit des trucs, frère. C'est des dingueries. Ça va fizz, je pense qu'il va fizz. Ouais, c'est qu'il joue beaucoup snipe quand même, les mecs. Ça full all-in. Bien joué. Bah, ça comprend bien. Hein. Ça joue bien, ça joue bien, les gars, ça joue bien. Wow. Ah, ils sont bien, en plus ils ont sécurisé le loot. Ils sont trop bien, Sécurise encore,
But now Nathan has been dropped
Ah, ils sont en
down. All the
DV2.
mats
Oh non,
are
non,
left for
ils sont en
CZB.
DV1.
It's
Lui,
the
il est
duo
knock.
up above.
Il y en a, il est knock.
Fighting against CZB. Who is going to be able to last long enough? I mean, with the
Donc ils
amount
sont en
of medkits
AV2.
that Turtle has in his
En
inventory, Jacob.
DV.
If he
Ouais.
plays this
Gros, s'il
correctly,
les
he
défonce.
should be able to take it home.
Yeah, CZB.
Ah, il
just
est
to
mort, il
see
est mort, il est mort, il est mort.
a miracle of some sort. He's just getting aggressed on from different
Il est mort,
angles.
il est mort.
The dash coin giving Turtle different spots, but he's doing a good job. Forcing Turtle to take
Ah, il
a
est
lot
mort.
of damage from the
Ah, mais
zone.
c'était bien
It could
joué.
be a fighting chance, but ZN
C'était
from
bien
the
joué,
low
c'était bien
ground
joué.
shuts it out instantly to take the game.
Great attempt there from CZB.
On va relécaler sur Esti, tiens.
Je sais pas s'il y a de la
On va le... Ah, Esti, ils ont défoncé un bug.
Ah ouais, la vache.
On redécale sur Esti. Et la prochaine vidéo va bientôt sortir. Elle sortira dans la semaine. Normalement, je devais la sortir aujourd'hui, mais malheureusement, elle sortira pas. Parce que du coup, je devais vous stream les FNCS. Et je préfère la sortir plus tard. Mais en tout cas, s'il y a un monteur vidéo, je veux bien. Ok. Si vous connaissez un monteur vidéo, je veux bien qu'on mette en contact avec. Parce que c'est ce qui manque sur la chaîne, un monteur vidéo.
Y'a rien à prendre de toute façon.
Ouais, bah tiens, ouais, bah je te mets full, mets-toi full.
Pourquoi t'es pas full toi?
Bah j'ai 6 minutes,
Vas-y,
3
monte,
splash.
monte. Attends, mets le fils, y'en a 40. Y'a personne à gauche normalement.
J'ai pas eu.
Vas-y, mets-le. Faut faire vite, une 10 pour qu'il y ait 40 derrière. Vas-y, go. T'as une air en or?
Ouais.
Ouais, c'était bien.
En vrai, ils sont bien. Hein.
Ouais,
Esti, tout ça, ils sont bien.
Peut-être 12 près, faudra faire Bélec. C'est de pas sauter, j'ai sauté, j'ai pas fait exprès. Tu slides. T'es bien.
C'est 5-5-5 hein.
Ouais, ils arrivent en late game. On va regarder Esti, les gars. On va regarder Esti. Vous allez voir, il va carry.
Celui-là.
Esti va nous faire plaisir, vous inquiétez pas.
C'est bon, j'ai 5-5 vraiment.
Fais gaffe,
Tout snipe.
Snipe, ça vise. Oh, aïe.
On s'en fout. Non, mais t'as pas de ça. C'est bon, on est béto là.
Ils sont bien. Bien joué.
On monte au-dessus là, on est bien. On peut
Ça,
monter.
Oui, ils sont bien.
Allez, on va se poser là.
Voilà, ils sont bien. Là, ils sont bien.
Bien.
Là, ils sont archi bien.
Parfait. 6 splash, un fils, 3 qui te sont.
Allez, je suis quatrième.
Là, ils sont archi bien.
Vas-y, j'ai dit au-dessus de moi, là je peux shoot la main. Ouais, je peux pas toucher en fait.
Ils sont archi bien, là. Là, franchement, ils sont archi bien.
À droite.
Ouais, j'ai vu. Bonne lag.
La logique. Oui.
Gros, t'es à côté de nous? Là.
C'est un solo?
Je crois que c'est un solo. Hein.
Ouais.
C'est que Bélec, on peut redire, c'est des points. Hein. Après, il a fait 2 box, c'est chiant. La game est pas snap, on est trop bien, ça sert à rien. On prend les points.
Là, on est collés. Ouais, on est trop bien. C'est qui?
Ils ont encore la zone, ils sont trop bien. Par contre, du coup, il y a du monde sur le high.
Les deux cracks.
Casse l'arbre.
Il y avait un mec en dessous, dommage qu'il l'ait pas vu.
Là, ici, là.
Ouais.
C'est à droite qui était.
Ça se ferait bien jouer.
Là, aïe.
T'as combien de balles de PM? J'en ai 241.
Les gars, il est en fin de zone, il a que 20.
Ah, mais t'es où pour faire ça, eux?
Ah, il tient du 360 FPS, les gars. Et il est à 9 de ping, gros. Les gars, sur une fan zone, hein, les gars, il est à 9 de ping, hein, gros. C'est la latence. Il a un très bon PC, hein, Esti.
Voilà.
Ah, dommage qu'il ait pas touché, dommage. Il y a la Storm.
C'est bien pour la Storm. Faudrait qu'on arrive à avancer là-bas au moins. Attends, viens, je mets un petit fils.
Au-dessus du 276. Ah,
Bon, go là, sur ce
ils vont prendre la Storm,
C'est bon, t'es bien? Nice.
Je pense qu'ils vont prendre la Storm.
Ouais, mais une splash.
Vas-y.
Par contre, t'as des grosses.
Non, mets-toi.
Je pense qu'ils vont se prendre la Storm. Ils vont se prendre la Storm.
J'ai des splash.
Ouais, aïe.
T'as combien de splash là? Parfait, j'en ai 4. Non, mais vraiment trop bien, gros. On peut faire net late sans avoir de refresh encore.
Là, je suis 4-5-5.
Il a 3-3-4.
Ouais,
Bon.
j'ai un bug. Oh, j'ai un bug, j'entends un mec qui est à l'infini. Ah, c'est le bug que t'avais, c'est horrible.
J'adore jouer avec. Ça rota déjà ici. Il s'est pris, il a un HP.
Comment il a fait pour pas voir le mec qui était en train de se heal? Vraiment, quand il l'a regardé, il a vu qu'il était en train de se heal et il l'a pas vu, il lui a pas mis de ban.
Va falloir que tu cries, gros.
Il a pas.
Ça va partir.
Allez, viens.
Ah, c'est bon, je l'ai plus.
Nice. Tu l'as pris, t'as le fils? Non, t'as pas eu.
Ah, j'ai pas.
Tu l'as eu? Derrière nous, fais gaffe. C'est bon. T'es avec moi? Dans la box.
Wesh!
C'est bon.
Non, il... Oh ah, il a failli se prendre un boulot.
C'est pas grave. T'as des munis.
Il a failli se prendre un boulot. Vas-y, Steve, régale-nous.
Non, full gauche, saute pas. Ouais, pour l'instant. Ça va, 50 sous, Moving, trouve des mecs à juste tirer dessus, c'est bon.
400 en dessous, 230 je veux dire.
What? Ok, ouais, bien. Ok.
Pour la prochaine, il faut en mettre.
Ouais. Là, regarde, au-dessus de moi. Go spray. Jerry take, continue. Jerry take. 72, j'ai mis. Ouais, je lâche.
On est beaucoup en
Bien joué, ça.
Faudra continuer à mettre ça.
Je mets ça.
Envoie peu d'armes. Nice. Viens, on fils, on va à l'avant. Faut trouver un kill là, on est obligé pour l'instant. Va, full gauche, viens sur moi. Bon, 26. J'avance. Nice. C'est bon, je suis trop bien, gros. Viens, on est splash, on a tout, on est trop bien. Gros. De toute façon, il y a beaucoup de mains qui vont mourir là, c'est tranquille. Go, voilà, regarde là. 23. Go spray là, regarde. 26 blanc, mort. Nice, y'a plus de sang, ok. Nice. Je vais diffuser, go.
Ils ont plus la storm. Oh la chatte. Bien joué, Esti. Allez, Esti.
Ouais, je te suis. Mets-moi ça derrière. J'ai un HP.
J'arrive. Nice. Il toi. Tiens, quitte soin.
Allez, Esti.
On est sur Guy, fais gaffe.
Allez, Esti. Mais mets-toi le kit.
Tiens, toute ma pierre là, j'ai 100 de fer.
Ok, nice. Je vais mettre du fizz. Nice, on a la zone, parfait. Vas-y, gros, ça va parfait.
Allez, Esti, ralasse-nous. Allez, Esti.
Sur moi. Je suis trop bien en maths en vrai, j'ai descendu. Ils sont Guy, fais gaffe. Il me spray. Peut-être go les spray aussi, hein. Peut-être ils ont rien du tout, gros. Ils sont déjà, regarde, ils sont en pire, ils font rien du tout, gros. J'ai spray. Ils m'ont fait tomber, je remonte. Non, c'est chaud. J'ai des splash, on va descendre, tant pis. Viens. Plus j'entends pas, non, ils arrêtent pas.
Ouais, il arrête pas, vas-y.
Viens, on descend, sur moi. Moi aussi, j'ai pas de sang.
Derrière toi, dans ta box.
Il est où?
Non.
J'ai mis une splash, j'ai mis du fizz. T'as des mini ou pas?
Ah, chef. S'ils arrivent à gérer là-dessus. Allez, Esti.
Tiens, avance. Dans ta box. Vas-y, go, c'est passe full droite.
Ah, dommage. Esti. Dommage, chef. Dommage. Ouah, c'est dommage. Il reste trop parti. C'est dommage. Ah, c'est dommage. Vraiment, c'est dommage.
Duo that is doing exactly that. Glubsky, sorry, and Trexer. Are they fully committing though is kind of my question here, Jacob. Do they just want the damage, or are they looking for some full-on eliminations?
It's just unfortunate that if they are going to see this as a green light to go, they let him heal up. So that few couple of seconds could be the difference maker for Cobra and Oscar now having the HP and the shields to actually have a fighting chance back. And with the Flowberry Fizz and the elevation, they actually could choose to disengage as well and try to jump their way in towards zone, which is not too far out from Lavish Slayer. You can only imagine how this one started out with a surge base into a build fight as Glubshy and Trexer. They're looking towards the side, and yeah, this might be their opportunity to disengage and try to find another position for themselves.
You can see the patience now. As they know there's duos rotating below them, they kind of want to see if they can even take that opportunity to take shots, but Flowberry's going to be popped. Avoiding the fall damage alongside those dashes to get a incredibly efficient rotate here. Nice little crack. Going to cause them to follow this duo now. Potentially even try and fight them here.
Yeah, it does look like they're just following, just trying to get to the backside of the tarp. From above, continue to strike down. What damage they can continue to build up. But with zone pushing them in, you see they have the Grim Gates loop. That was Trexer who got his 3 charges. Now it's Glubshy's turn. First one's going to be used just to find a little bit of a better spot before he looks back yet again. The same duo he was targeting out before drops the shield, but it's E2 who gets his shield dropped before reuniting back with Trexer in a safer position.
Continuing to take shots. Just one more needed to connect here if he wants to pick up at least one elimination. They've already done so much damage, but another duo is going to claim it. Be careful, Glubsky, as you put yourself into a dangerous situation here, getting knocked down, quickly switching the medallion to his duo. Will they give him the time, though, to pick him up?
Yeah, chucks him in towards the zone as well, so... This could be the best possible scenario, but the shots are coming in. That's exactly what you prefaced there momentarily. And that's finally going to get cleaned up. And that is a huge, a massive pick-me-up right there for Retail and Taze, because now they have the Grimgate loop. But it looks
tous
like
les effets que t'as
DKS,
quand tu
they
casses
saw
les
the
builds
medallion
gros,
drop,
ça doit te
and they
faire
want it
gravement
for
baisser les
themselves.
Tu dois avoir beaucoup de baisse d'FPS. Hein.
As now, they are the kings of the Cerberus medallion. You can see how effective these dashes are.
Ça joue, ça c'est la donne.
Mobility item this season being that Flowberry Fizz that gives you a bit of momentum boost, but if you're able to get infinite dashes, it's game changing for a lot of duos. Let's see what happened though. Trick for Doxy. Nice little drop from the clouds, double edit into a potential knock here. Almost ended up being the victim, but with 29 HP, got that elimination. As now they're continuing to kind of follow alongside these duos that are rotating in.
Attends, il est en train de pêche tout seul là. Freddy. Fredoxy, pardon.
They're just catching player after player off guard. That's Oscar, who we saw with Cobra not too long ago on the side of the mountain, became a target.
Bah, ça se voit, lui, il a un niveau monstrueux. Hein. Oh, il a des bonnes rotas. Hein. Il a des bonnes rotas.
Rotating in late, you don't want to start an engagement here, as there's players from all angles, above, below, and the sides. For Doxy Trip, kind of trying to see what's.
C'est trop stylé, on voit trop les HP des gens descendre.
What are they taking shots at? The duo's rotating in late, as Zone has pulled to the east, and it looks like for Doxy Trip, you're gonna go for an early rotate.
A little bit different than the few rotations they
Bah,
made so far, where you
bien.
adapt on the fly.
Il a un bon
you start
gameplay.
to realize you can't continue falling behind the curve, especially with the entire lobby making a similar rotation, getting focused, forced to stagger, build themselves back. Eye drop and Nebs did look like they took some damage. Don't know if that was from Storm Surge turning off or somebody tagging up from the side, but either way, with very little heals, not a ton of materials, and a far rotation, the odds are stacking up against Eye drop and Nebs.
Take a look here how they're able to do this. Nebs got cut off in the back end. Eye drop now left alone is not going to be able to pick up his duo partner. Is going to choose to take some shots here at the duos that are finishing him off, but without any shot connecting, he's still going to need to do more damage. Sniper rifle in hand though. Is this Eye drop or is this Julie? We'll find out soon as he continues to rotate on through. 24 builds now. The pressure is getting on.
Yeah, almost waited till that legendary banana. That run is gone, but nice flank onto one. That's hard find and his duo. iDrops has to be careful not to get stuck in this position, but he finds a little bit of a treasure trove. Another med kit, the flopper that he can use. He has to make it to zone though, or all this is going to be useless. Top 20 position, not even a bunch of placement points being earned just yet for anybody in the lobby, and he gets shut down, and that's a good amount of loot for somebody to just gather up.
Yeah, there was not too many opportunities for him to get a snipe. Everybody was kind of covered up except for one player flying through the air. Hard find. Fall now. Trying to see what they can do, but Fredoxy has to be careful. Too much of a peek led to his shield getting cracked. Good news, they have big pots. They have Flowberry Fizz. They can recuperate what they've lost as Zone continues to pull more north.
Doing a good job of staying ahead of the curve. 116, 5 eliminations. They're just trying so hard to move up the leaderboard. Upper bracket is where their eyes are positioned. And you can see everybody now being forced. Just 3 teams got a far pull. Everybody else on that right side of the map are going to have to rotate together. But it's Trulex and Chicho that have the high ground for now. And it does look like they're just building up to try to solidify it for good.
They want to claim it, and it looks like they might have just done it. DMR in hand. Going to be put to work now with the players rotating through. 26 players up, 15 duos in the 9th zone here. As you can see, Tagenio, be careful. 5 elims on the board. He has lost Noah, but he has that banana pop to recuperate that HP. Gonna be forced to use some minis now in a Flowberry once again for that mobility.
He fought Kiriachi, just trying to move their way through. The zone is just becoming more and more chaotic with the last games that we played so far. Top 14 position. Placement points have not even begun halfway being completed just yet as Chicho goes down. Trulix is risking it all right here. Good instant splashes to get both of their HP back up, but they still have more rotations to go. The front side of the zone, but it just looks like they're going to go build height first and then try to take it and hold on to it.
So far, so good. recuperating that shield that they've already lost, as now they can even reconnect to their previous height builds here. Kiriachi, his duo partner, staying ahead here. Actually going to try and chop down height. Can they secure it, though? The battle is going to begin.
But I think they already connected on the other side. Great attempt coming out, but not going to be enough. For Doxy, tripping. They just get punished there for a moment, but they use a good job of backtracking in their steps to finish off that elimination before they continue moving forward. Drops down a layer because they're trying to make an easy rotation. Another player right in front. He's going to be a solo, but I don't know if they took notice just yet. For Doxy, he's going to start the last med kit that he can. Trippin just trying to lead the path. He doesn't have a ton of HP left, so he cannot take a tick or even get close to doing so.
Last medkit has been used for Prodoxy as well. Trip now doing something similar as a nice knockdown from Prodoxy. This could be huge in terms of an impact. Materials are going to be recuperated to last the rest of this match. Is now Kiriachi and Default are going to pick up one more. That's 7 for this duo. Flopper is found as well. Huge heal off potential for this duo.
Yeah, multiple different win conditions. Particularly they're passing around the medallion as well. Maybe even dropping it if they don't need it. High ground is now becoming a Tyson trying to catch in. The banana is going to be popped. He's getting his HP back, but he runs into Prodoxy and Trippin, who pick up their 9th elimination of this game. They're looking for double digits to rise up the leaderboard in the last hour. Fuel gets found out. Top 7 situation, and it looks like another elimination being cleaned up as Taze falls as well.
Prodoxy, Trip looking unstoppable as now High Ground is trying to get overthrown, but it's going to be Chicho and Trulex that are holding on strong. Default forced to drop now. Has 5 elims, but he wants to make it 6. Gets full boxed almost, though. You need to run away here with the force splashes. He can tank zone for just a little bit, but with the pressure from above, from below, he has to be careful.
Bah, les malades. Ah, il aura fait le trou de balle.
Eliminations. That was huge double elimination because now that puts him in the prime position. One of the only healthy duos still left alive in a world full of solos.
Chicho Trulex deciding what's the game plan now. They don't have any medkits. They don't have any floppers. They need to get eliminations here. They're going to pop Flowberry, recuperate that shield, and go down for the elims as DKS picks up 1. But now Trulex looking to close it off.
Yeah, Panzer
il est en zone, il est solo en zone.
Backside of the zone. It is a 2v1. It's the placements in which he came for Panzer. He was able to scrape together
Il a combien de kits?
so many placements, staying alive, staggering himself backside of zone. They have 3 eliminations, and now Trulex is going in for the finish. Even with the dash, they displaced him around. Cancel the medkit of his own. Trulex and Chicho, after missing Major 1, have rise to the top.
Great way to finish it off. They had no choice other than to look for those eliminations with no medkits, no heals in the inventory, and that is exactly.
Ça se termine à 22h30, 30, je crois, les FNTS.
Yeah, and not surprisingly, Trulex and Chicho, man, they dropped down. They took down one of the only teams in their path. And Prodoxy and Tripper, and there goes the first knock. Prodoxy didn't even know where it came from. He went down shortly after.
Et je pense qu'il est arrivé. Ouais, ah, remarque, il y a le coffre là.
Ah, il a pas fait, je crois. Il m'a snipe derrière. Oui, il a pas fait ici. Il est dedans, mais je l'ai fait. Je pense que 52 goals ça m'a donné. Hein. Ouais. J'ai 3,5, 5, 3,5, 4,5, 1,5.
J'ai 5, là je vais être 5, 5, 5, 1. Tiens, il y a de la station.
Ouais, il a pas été fait.
On a combien de points là? Tu as les points?
165. On va faire un petit top 1.
On a 220 là.
Les splash, tu peux prendre? Les splash, tu peux prendre?
Bah, j'ai 2 gros 6 mi, 3 kills.
J'ai viré ma DMR. J'ai pompé M.
Ah ouais, vas-y.
T'as une DMR toi?
Ah non, je vais la prendre en GNR.
Mais il est bien là, ils sont bien.
En vrai, on a pas trop besoin, mais tranquille.
Oh. En vrai, on a du bon gameplay quand même, comparé tout à l'heure.
I don't know.
One massive difference from Chicho and Trulex. No medkits! They didn't have heal.
True.
Trulix and Chicho this season, every single game we see them, they always have heal off. Trulix always got 3 med kits. They're vibing with the heals, and this was the one game where like they needed it more than any other, and they didn't have it, and that's what made it so close in the end there, right? They almost lost that one, but no, Trulix and Chicho are really good this season, right? Like the casters highlighted, they didn't make a major one last season, which was a big shock. They're a team that should be making it. And yet this season they've come through and they've looked like one of the most consistent teams, if not the most consistent team in EU when it comes to top level competition. So good to see them doing well here and getting a win in round 4.
Levin, were you surprised by Prodoxy and Trip and how aggressively they were playing it in those final zones? It was such an impressive masterclass in the low ground.
I mean, I wasn't surprised, but it was very impressive. It definitely took me by storm. A very odd personal anecdote here that I'll share with you guys. I've had the pleasure of being eliminated by many professional Fortnite players in my lifetime, right? And when it comes to the one that felt the most difficult, like the one where I felt like I couldn't even touch them in a fight, Prodoxy was actually that guy. Like he's one of the few players where fighting him, I was like, I can't even touch this guy, I can't get near him. And he showcased that skill and that ability here in this game against much better players than me, I will add. And he's just dominating.
Bah, il les a lavés, hein.
He had so many names. I think he ended on what, 8 or 9.
Il les a lavés.
These guys were on an absolute tear, and that's been a feature of their game, Mini, right? They've been really aggressive this season and trying to show people, look, we're some of the best fighting players in this lobby at any given moment.
Il les a lavés le trou de balle, hein.
Yeah, it is. And last week, even, we saw a massive clutch from Regarde. It was a really, really nice game, of course, with that mythic, with the medallion, of course, as well. And then it showed that they can do that without, and as a duo, because, of course, Trip did go down in that particular game. It's just consistency of this team. Can they turn these big pop-off moments into consistent placements? They said it themselves last week. It wasn't necessarily the best performance from them. They weren't too happy with it, which is a good sign. You know, it shows that they're not just going to be happy with just a decent average performance. They want to be the best. They have the ability as well. And I think this is a team that we really have to look for when it comes to Grands.
If you look at the top of the standings there, you'll see Chris and Scooby as well, who we saw earlier today. I don't think we were actually watching their lobby, just there. They've still got that victory royale to their name. In fact, I don't think we got to witness them get the victory royale. We got to witness them coming close instead, and 31 eliminations. So impressive. And as we were saying before we dropped into that past lobby, just this top 10, even the top 20, I feel like it's one of the most consistent we've seen. We're constantly seeing the same duos getting to those final moments, Mini Miner.
Yeah, and I think that's somewhat surprising because, of course, there are 250 teams that are taking part today. So, yeah, maybe you could say it's a little bit surprising, but, you know, the names that are up here, there's not too many surprises. Moneymaker and Fanyine, a team right there that I want to highlight here because they needed a big performance today to make it into that low bracket, and, of course, the upper bracket as well, if they can make it there. They're on the hunt for it. I think if they do place, top 3, maybe 11 here, top 5, they could get into the upper bracket just from this 1 week alone, not even making it out of opens last week. So a really nice performance from them so far.
Yeah, if they did that, that would be a bit of a shock, but a pleasant shock, I'm sure, for all the Moneymaker fans out there. I'll be honest, it's not out of realms of possibility, right? In terms of just their ability, what they've shown from us in some of these games. I think the big thing here that we're seeing, right, when you're talking about the consistency, Frankie, is yeah, there's a lot of those teams that clearly have just found their rhythm so far this season.
Je suis en train de m'endormir, ouais, les gars.
You mentioned teams looking really good, finding their rhythm. That means...
Oh, mais c'est trop calme du côté des styles, là, ils font quoi?
Juste fais gaffe, là, ils peuvent peut-être te voir, hein, comparé à moi.
Oh là 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 là.
Ouais, à droite, ils arrivent, peut-être. Ils sont au gauche là.
L'embuscade.
Il va casser là. 3, 2, 1.
Pas touché.
Qu'est-ce que Kedek
Léger. À gauche.
Crack son bait, full piece. Un HP. 27 blanc. Mort.
Oh là là, Esti!
Chichi, on le KO.
C'est un putain de monstre, gros.
Oh là là, Esti, les gars! Esti, il est monstrueux!
Au-dessus, non? Fais gaffe, t'es tout seul. Hein.
Et si, il est monstrueux.
Ouais, j'ai fait en dessus. On nique sa main, Go pour le stuff de l'autre.
Ah, ici, il est très très bon.
C'est sérieux? J'ai vu 89, je crois, moi.
Genre, j'ai voulu tirer sur celui de gauche, mais je sais pas, c'est trop bizarre.
Ah, ici, il est très très bon, les gars. Ici, il est excellent. Même Mr. Savage, il a dit qu'ici, il était bon.
Dans ma tête, j'ai trop hésité parce que je voulais qu'on tire, mais je me suis dit, imagine il
Mais
replace
ouais, moi aussi, je me suis dit la même chose.
hop et prendre le haut.
Mais après, j'ai vu, il a avancé, je me suis dit, il va faire une take. Et boum. Déjà, j'ai eu peur qu'il nous voit à la fenêtre. Ils ont pas vu la fenêtre. Les amis de Gucci. Tu sais qu'ils auraient pu survivre. Hein. Ils auraient pu survivre de baiser par contre. Hein. Il y en a un qui est parti à gauche et un qui est parti à droite. Du coup, moi j'ai focus sur le mec de droite. Il a paniqué, je l'ai tué. Non, mais tu fais pas attention, tu fais pas attention. Qui sont les golemons qui vont camper ici en finale genre. C'était Hydra.
En vrai, en match, ils étaient pas bien par contre.
Je sais pas, mais en tout cas, ils ont mis bien.
C'est nous qui étaient. J'ai pris snipe pendant ce temps. Vas-y, attends, je fais une box en fer au-dessus.
J'ai 2 splash, hein. J'ai 2. What? J'ai plus PM. J'ai un fils là si tu veux, hein. Un fils full. Ah, c'était le chien, non?
Je prendrais, oui, c'était bien.
Parce que moi, je me virais mon snap, mes 2 splash. Mais bon.
Moi, j'ai un steak de toute façon là que je vais virer. Ah non, c'était les kits, moi que j'avais. Hein.
Ouais. Ah ouais?
Bah, je crois. 4 bananes, je prendrais 4 bananes.
Moi, j'ai 2 splash. Je vais te prendre le deuxième fils en vrai. Oh, t'as quoi comme shield?
6 mini, 2 gros.
6 mini, 2 grosses, 4 bananes. J'ai 6 mini, un fils de splash. Je sais pas c'est quoi le mieux gros. Je vais me dire 2 splash pour un fils ou.
Il est full l'autre fils?
Ouais, les deux sont full.
Ouais, bah ouais. Bah attends, tiens, 2 gros c'est.
Mais déjà, le fils. J'ai des splash au rap. Il y a 2 splash au rap.
Oh, il casse la tête.
T'avais une PM violette, ton violette, tu m'as pété à la PM violette, c'était une dingue.
Pas de chance, tu veux. Hein.
Non, mais je m'en fous, t'inquiète, c'est juste j'ai vu qu'il y avait du stuff et il y avait plus rien.
Au cas, je joue AR, donc j'ai pas beaucoup de balles PM.
Ouais, j'ai mis 400.
Tiens, toutes mes balles PM. Je suis full balle DR, moi, de toute façon. Ah, vraiment, nice. Oh, des pierres, tu vas faire des box. Hein.
En vrai, ils sont bien. En vrai, le vrai, ils sont bien.
Ramène tout où on est au pire. Hein.
Tiens, je te pousse ça là. Je ramène les 2 splash. Donc là, ramène ça.
Y'a combien de bois?
Ouais, je suis à 100 là, donc y'a rien, je crois.
J'ai tout baisé du coup.
Ouais,
T'as 142 bois. Ferme ici.
Ah ouais, voilà, tu m'as niqué.
Ouais, ferme ici.
Ouais, j'arrive.
Je sais pas, t'avais aussi peu de bois par contre. T'avais 300 points.
J'étais full, frère.
Ah ouais?
Ah oui. Enfin, ouais, je suis du coup.
Non, t'avais 330.
J'ai 400 là.
Ah, bah
Non, mais
c'est bon.
non, mais il y en a. C'est sûr, il y en a caché, non?
Non.
Oh non. Vas-y, go, go.
T'as pris les bananes, hein?
Ouais, elles sont là, les gars. Je peux plus prendre. Ah, à droite, ça se fait foutre, frère. Derrière, y'a personne. Personne, frère.
Il joue bien, ça joue bien. Ça joue vraiment bien par contre.
Par derrière, fais
Son mate, peut-être, regarde, je vois comme pas, gros.
Non, non, il y a 2 pas, il y a 2
C'est un malade ici.
J'ai envie de hésiter, j'ai juste snipe.
Bon, voilà, attends. On va dans les extends là, devant là. On avance là-bas. Là, je pense que les bananes. Putain, on est bloqué là.
Vous repartez derrière, les mecs. Tu repars derrière et tu contournes. Dans tous les cas, vous avez des kits.
Je suis mort. Non, c'est bon.
Fais gaffe.
Il m'attendait, si j'ai pute. Vas-y, viens sur moi, on se casse, on se casse. Oh, les chiennes, nouvelle moline, nouvelle moline.
Ah ouais,
T'es
j'arrive.
malade, gros.
Je comprends
Full
rien.
pisse, moi 100.
Oh là là!
T'as un monstre?
Je vais mettre des splash, non, je vais mettre des splash.
Il a déglingué.
Il y a les 2 splash là.
On y va, on y va, on y va.
Esti, il a déglingué. Il l'a déglingué.
Je vais trouver un. Je sais pas, vas-y, tiens. J'ai mis 89 crack. Hein.
Là, je mets 5
Il
de
va nous jouer, il va nous jouer.
replace.
Oh, ils sont chiants, gros. Vas-y, mets 5 de fils. C'est bien en retard. Ils ont mis un flowback.
Rota aussi de Flaubert.
Il y a une team dans le box, fais gaffe. Build, hein.
Ouais, il
Oh
va
la
monter.
dinguerie. C'est bon, je suis avec toi.
Viens, on se met en faire là.
Ouais, je suis bien. Nice. J'ai 3,5, 3,5, 3,5.
Vas-y, split tes matchs.
On reste tranquille, hein. Je split, mais je te dis.
Ouais, non, mais c'est comme ça aussi.
Derrière, full team, full team.
Ouais, c'est pas prêt.
Juste ici, là.
Je sais pas, il est en plus de à gauche. Là.
Regarde là, regarde là. C'est en dessous, viens, on est en dessous. Oh, on voit pas.
Ils sont au-dessus. À droite, ça se craque. Ouais, ils ont pris full high. Laisse tomber. Bravo. Là-bas, y'a un mec qui est dans la mer, je crois. Là-bas, ouais.
Y'a un mec dans leur zone.
Je sais pas, ça tirait.
Ouais, je crois que
Si,
c'est
si.
encore.
Si, il y a vraiment un mec en zone. C'est un malade. Attends, là, elle fait du combien la zone? Réaffiche la carte, s'il te plaît, Esti.
De toute façon, on a full.
T'as un fils toi aussi, de toute façon.
Des bananes et tout, si jamais on doit. Putain, on peut la storm. Ouais, j'ai un fils. Le Simini, un fils, 4 bananes.
Et ils ont pas la storm.
En fait, il y a une team en dessous et une team au-dessus, je crois. Là, faudra qu'on retard. Hein. Allez, faites pas les cons. Ils veulent pas
Je
retard
crois,
en
là,
dessous.
Je crois on pourra pas aller full goal, mais on peut aller vers le mid. Parce que.
Gaffe le high.
Je suis con, les gens.
C'est pas bulle, gros. Nique mon bois, tant pis. Hein. C'est bon. Mets-toi du fils en moi. Ah bah t'es là. Il y a une team derrière, fais gaffe, je vais peut-être nous all-in. Tu l'as eu?
Je suis, ouais.
Je passe au mid là,
Fais
c'est
gaffe
parfait.
à-
Là, fais gaffe.
Ils sont bien. Ah, il s'est fait crack.
Je suis chill. Avec moi. Oh lol.
Gaffe, ouais,
Ouais, j'attends le mail.
Fais gaffe,
Descends.
on
C'est bon.
Ok. Moi, je suis bien.
Nice. Il y a une team meilleure que moi, je remonte. Ouais. J'ai niqué trop de maths, putain, j'ai plus rien. 1,5, 0, 2,5.
Les bâtards.
Fraîche.
En vrai, il est pas. Ouais, là, niveau maths.
On aurait dû mettre des splash, je sais pas.
Niveau build, il est pas bon.
What, ça m'a baisé ma grosse. J'ai 2 mini en fizz.
Yo, bienvenue sur live.
Moi des bananes. Une ou deux, s'il te plaît, je fais stack. Nice. Vas-y, go.
Le truc, c'est que là,
Fais gaffe.
va falloir qu'il trouve un refresh. Hein.
Monte dans l'ailleurs là.
Ah, Esti, mécaniquement, Esti, il est bon. Hein. Esti, il est bon mécaniquement, les gars. En fait, c'est même pas mécaniquement, il a un très bon niveau, Esti. Hein.
2, 1, 1.
1,5, 2.
Esti joue trop bien.
Wesh.
Au-dessus de nous, il y a des mecs.
Ouais.
C'est des malades quand même, ils ont des dash. Ah, j'ai vu un mec avec un dash. Il y a des mecs aussi à l'avance, ils sont trop bien.
Faut une full droite. Hein. Ouais.
Burn your spot to the semifinals, but there's only 3 people. Could let us know with only a few games left what it's all looking like.
Thank you very much. It's looking tense and it's been looking exciting all evening, and it was great to see yet again a duo mastering height and getting the victory royale that they deserve, Levin.
Yeah, absolutely. I think when you look at how these guys played, it certainly does conduce itself to pick it.
J'ai moins fizz avec un peu de chance.
Tiens, le
Ouais, j'ai ticket.
Change de. Ah, j'ai que 100 de voix.
J'ai rien du tout, le high me spray. Je suis mort au-dessus de toi. J'ai dit, j'arrive pas. C'est bon.
Oh, comment il est passé, gros. C'est un malade. Ils ont plus de build. Hein. Ah, ils ont plus de build, hein.
S'il te plaît. À droite, ils sont en train de se... Devant, ils sont en train de se fight. Hein.
Ils ont plus de build, hein. Je sais pas comment ils vont se démerder, hein.
On va aller à l'avant, viens, on va à l'avant.
Vas-y, vas-y, je te suis, j'ai 0 moi.
Viens en dessous là.
Check toi. Dans ta box, tu l'as. What,
Non,
c'est
dommage.
passé.
Il a freeze.
Oh, c'est trop le seul, frère.
Putain.
Oh, vas-y. Oh, vas-y, non, j'ai le seum, gros.
Mais non, ça en fait top 1, c'est bon, non?
Ah, ici, il lui reste une game.
Non, vas-y, je l'ai.
Oh, vas-y, je me voyais faire un petit galet.
Ah, ils sont pas quoi là?
Ouais, ça tape. Déjà, le truc où t'as pris des...
Ah, ils sont pas quoi, ils sont pas quoi. Ils sont pas quoi. Bah écoute. Ah, dommage, Estime.
Ils ont fait top.
En vrai, s'ils font un top 1 10 kills, en vrai, ils sont bons. Hein.
296. Ouais, faut faire un top. On a combien là?
89.
89.
Ah, désolé les gars, je me peigne en même temps. Si vous entendez des bruits, c'est le peigne.
Ah, parce que là, vous restez. Oh, vas-y, vous faites tellement gros vite, frère, ce qu'on a fait.
Ah, c'est dommage. Franchement, c'est dommage. C'est
Je
dommage.
sais que j'avais encore tout là, quand je suis mort.
C'est dommage.
70 de fils, 2 bananes.
C'est vraiment très très dommage. Vas-y, on va décaler sur le compte Fortnite officiel.
And they almost look like a fish out of water, right? When you've just sort of run out of everything and you run into a bit of trouble. But I think they'll be fine, more or less. I'm not too worried about those two.
Let's take a look at the standings and see where we're at. We are running out of time for our duos to get into some final lobbies. I think they've probably got about 15 minutes to get into the last lobby that they'll be able to play tonight. Christian's Gift still at the top, Vico and Pink just below. Yeah, I keep repeating myself. Nothing is really changing too much. Although actually Howley and Nefri, I think that's a new name, new duo at least into the top 10 tonight. Not new names themselves, though, Mini Minor.
Yeah, Howley and Nefri, a duo that we've definitely seen perform before as well. 10th place for those guys right now. Not a bad performance so far. We haven't really seen them today, I don't think, at all. Just looking at where they placed last week as well. 81st last week, so a good performance here. They're pretty much guaranteed to get into that lower bracket, maybe even the upper bracket overall as well. If they can make it there, some other names are on the list as well. Mappy and Hero in there inside of that top 15, a team that we have seen a little bit of today, but nothing too crazy. Wheat Shimoki as well, a team that's moving up on the standings, a team that started the season quite strongly as well. It's very similar to last season. They had a very strong start and just couldn't quite make it happen when it came to FNCS. So hopefully for them, they'll be able to sort of pick up where they started the season.
Mustache and Malibuka as well, Seti and Cami, two big duo names we've been talking about tonight. Also looking like they're probably a dead set for the upper bracket, 11.
I mean, yeah, looking good. When it comes to the actual mathematical calculations, I'm lost. I'm a lost puppy. Yes,
on écoute.
There to deal with all that, you know. But for the most part, yeah, those guys look really good, and I'm sure when we see them in semi-finals, they'll be.
Je crois que là, on arrive à la fin des effets, à la fin des games.
One of the players that we saw in one of our early lobbies popping off was X3, so let's take a look at some of his highlights.
On arrive bientôt à la fin des games, donc.
Talk me through this.
Yeah, X3 is a player that's has been around in the EU scene for a very long time. Of course, Shaco as well. We did get to see a little bit of them earlier on, but we can just see, the mid-ground layers, the way they're playing quite consistently. And this is a duo that I expect to do well, right? This is a team that I think is good. They have both players are very, very talented. We've talked about their experience, and it was this sort of conundrum, if you like, with Pink and Vico that kind of caught them off guard. We saw them trying to go for that refresh, and sometimes it's really just not worth it, especially when you do fall down like that. And it just didn't quite work out for them in the end, but a solid game from them in the end.
It's an interesting one with these two. They're a newer team, and they're two players who I think are fighting and really want to remain at the top level of competitive EU, right? X3s was sort of like playing and trialing with a bunch of people, and I spoke to some people who was trying with, and he said, hey, look, Squeezer said, look, I've been around for a long time. A lot of the people who were at the top when I was at the top ain't about anymore. I'm not trying to be like that. I want to grind, I want to work hard, and it's good he's found someone in Shakos who he believes can get him to that point. But again, they need to start to pick things up and play a better level if they want to make sure that they are going to be one of those teams that can qualify for grants.
Well, our lovely observer team have spotted a wild Mustache and Malibu Crown Major 1 champions in the wild. So we're going to drop in with Jacob and Takata to check out the action.
You said it yourself, Frankie. Major 1 champs. Back at it again. Can they become champions of Major 2 back to back?
Vas-y, je reviens.
Jacob, you make the call. Yes or no? That's all I want to hear.
I think right now it's just too early to tell. I think we have the potential to have another photo finish style race. I don't think there's been anybody on this region just yet to cement themselves as the team. If you look at the opposing NA region, you know, you'd think Peterbot and Poyo with how dominating they have been, but I can't spot one team on this region that is above and beyond everybody else. And that kind of makes me exciting. Casting that last FNCS was amazing, and I'm ready for another one.
We'll have to see what happens. It was close. I mean, you said it. The neck-to-neck finish, 1 point difference. History. It just sets up the storylines for these future tournaments, but let's not get too ahead of ourselves, Jacob. We're in the last qualifier, the second qualifier, which is also the last one before the semifinals. Then we'll have 3 days of semis to see who makes it to those grand finals. Little 2-week break in between, so we'll be back May 10th for the semis. Well, let's see how this finishes off now. These players, with I believe just 10 minutes left to queue, means that they've kind of got to make a choice. Is this going to be the last match they want to play out? Or do they want to just go for elims for the next 10 minutes and then try and get into that last lobby? Kind of depends on how you're set up. Are you looted enough? Are you feeling that you can win the game? Do you want to risk getting into another early game engagement? That's what's going to be on these players' mind.
Yeah, it's just decisions. It's a little bit of the mind game with the timers on these lobbies. Is Kaizen and DKS. You see them going up against Snappy, and everything comes crumbling down. Quick dashes to save himself while landing a shot. Kaizen putting in a little work here before finally dropping down low. He knows one is above, and the quick turnaround. The mind game's coming out right now from Kaizen, switching targets multiple times throughout that fight to find the first elim.
What a way to box up your opponent. Quick bait.
Désolé, il y a mon chien qui a aboyé.
For another one. Kaizen, can you close it out? One wall is what's separating them here. Gets the replace, but his opponent.
Est-ce qu'il s'est passé des dingueries?
Nice double-headed to drop himself down, get himself out of that boxed up situation. But it is a 2 versus 1. He's gonna have players from all angles now looking for shots. You can only run for so long when you should turn around and take some shots back at them.
There's another team moving in as well.
Oh!
And finish this fight quick.
Il s'est fait destroy, lui.
After fight after fight. Finally, that player drops, but there's third-party shots come in. Position isn't necessarily revealed just yet. They only know the direction, not exactly where they're at, which is going to help that team because as soon as they saw some shots in that direction, they know that other player went down, and they immediately disengage, knowing it is going to be a little bit of a journey to zone.
Nice way. Close it off quickly enough, like you said. Just take a look at how Robin 237 were able to pick up that next one. 4 on the board for the duo. Not too bad at all. Gripey Kyrie as well in the zone, rotating in.
I'm a little worried for Kyrie, but with the 2 med kits and the Gripe, even with zone kind of pulling in currently, it's not going to be too much of a worry. You see him using a med kit already. So some of their HP heals being used at this stage in the game, 3rd zone. A little bit too early than you would want to, but you know there's going to be opportunities for eliminations and scrappage together any loot that might be left behind.
You can see did not want to use the med kits because of how powerful they can be in the late game. So making use of the bandages. Gripey found on the way to recuperate that HP that he needed. Quick stat as well, Jacob. High ground teams have won 68% of games this season in EU, which is, I mean, we talked about it many times about high ground and its potential for winning matches, but in the heal-off meta, you never really know.
Là, je tiens encore les éclairs.
And the interesting thing about this
J'en ai pas vu depuis 1 ou 2 semaines les éclairs. Hein. Et là, il y en a.
50 points through this qualifier.
Ah, il y en a qui a quitté.
They still need around a couple more placements, essentially. Right now, they are positioned on the leaderboard, 33rd. Obviously, that can move depending on where you're looking at it. They definitely need a top 30 position, so they still have more work to do with how low the HP they are right now in a possible final game.
Right. We'll kind of have to see. I think they want to close off this game, though. But a lot of the players now, just 6 minutes left until you can't find any more matches, which is why we might be seeing some extra aggression here from Kaizen. Looks like he wants to either go for all or nothing, get a bunch of eliminations, or get eliminated and get into that last match. As DKS, same mindset, looking to see if he can take those shots, misses the shotgun. But the SMG is going to finish him off.
Il a destroy.
No pun intended, but they made it look easy on that fight. Kaizen going around, replenishing the dashes, knows there's another player there. Even with shots coming in, he's feeling confident to try to fight. But as things settle, missed that first shot, knowing his opponent got away. He's just trying to heal up, figure out a way to reunite with his teammate yet again. You can see how far separated they were moments ago, but within seconds, they get into the same box.
Time is ticking, and now there's just 5 minutes. And they kind of got to make a decision, you know, as it gets closer and closer, there's going to reach a point where even if you get eliminated, you cannot get into another match. So it might just be time to disengage and start fully playing for this late game. It really depends on what your goal is. You said it yourself. Merstash Melabuka, I believe we're in 68th or 63rd, around there on the series point leaderboard going into this match. So they were just on the borderline trying to make it into the upper bracket, but now in 33rd, they just have to hold on to the positioning they're currently in. It's not like they need a massive game to finish it off.
Yeah, depending on how things shake out, exactly what you said. Currently in 33rd, they need a top 34. They just need to hold on, have a decent game in this game. Obviously, it depends on how other teams shake out on that leaderboard as well. There's no Chino. Over towards Rebel's Roost. Normally teams that land up on this side of the map, they kind of rotate away. There isn't a lot to be gathered on this side of the map, but since the zone does pull back, Gino and Noah are feeling confident to farm up the rest of their metal, the rest of the material that they need, and they have the elevation because of the house at Rebel's Roost.
Meanwhile, this duo relaxes. Let's see what Kaizen was able to do here with DKS. Did they actually continue that aggression? Quick Thunderburst finish. As now all the duos have kind of decided, okay, this is going to be the lobby we're playing out. 50 duos now. Half of them have been wiped out. 25 duos, sorry, 50 players. So now it's kind of just a waiting game, as Storm Surge shouldn't get activated for a while here if it ends up getting activated, but...
Which is going to make this a little bit of an interesting lobby, because it's usually this zone, the next zone, Storm Surge starts to turn on. There's not even an opportunity until 7th zone where we'll need to go down to 40 players. So there's a couple of zones where players can finally react, start to focus on rotations, and position themselves for the eventual surge that will come later in the game. That just means the threshold might be a little bit higher than in some of the games of the past.
That is the question, Jacob. For Howley and Frizzy, though. They're kind of hunting around. They're like, okay. Nice and cozy in their bush. I mean, this is kind of a dangerous area around Rebels where you have so many bushes. But these players are accustomed to always taking shots at them.
Et ça se voit, ils ont pas l'habitude de jouer dans les FNCS, parce qu'ils jouent en bêche. Ils jouent avec les bêches.
You're gonna make sure
ça se voit, ils ont vraiment pas l'habitude.
That you're rotating through.
Franchement.
When there's so many of them, all it takes is one mistake for getting.
Ils jouent dans le bêche alors que c'est des FNCS, quoi, tu vois. C'est.
So you see the zone is just so far up the north. Right now, it can't pull north on the next 50-50 because then too much water would be in the zone.
Pourquoi ils build alors qu'il y a personne là?
Where the island is at, above Rebel Roost, all the way down, that's where you'd expect the 50-50 to be at. And then since there's no Rift Island, we might have it over on the other side of the map, which see where it is going to pull, above where I believe Rift Island might be currently positioned. So a little bit of an easier rotation if you could start it very, very quickly from this side of the map. But the more you delay yourself, just like anybody else, it's going to be tough to try to follow up and get in the zone.
You can even see a duo on the bottom right of the minimap swimming all the way up north, it seems, to try and make it to the zone. Another duo now with the same idea. They might even find each other here once they get closer to the edge. But it's quite a free rotate. There's so much natural environment and cover that you can use throughout this rotate that you should be able to conserve a lot of your shields.
Ils se font courser.
The north side.
Il y a une course-poursuite.
Is going to pull these guys using that as their rotation. And just really take note here, because sometimes
Ils vont
I
se
see
croiser,
a
ils
lot
vont
of
se
players
croiser.
that are this back team that take shots right above them to try to get surge, but they
Ils vont se
doing
croiser.
the right thing. Follow them close behind. You know you have distance to cover, so shooting here would probably be the worst thing for this team, and that's why I love, and I'm pointing out why they are being so patient. Eventually, they're going to get into those open waters to where they're getting spotted out by some other teams, but at least they made it far enough and closer to land before
Il
this
panique,
finally
hein.
happened.
Il panique, lui.
Yeah,
Hein.
at least they made it
Ouais,
into
il
the edge
panique.
of zone, so they actually can just stay here. Issue is though, you gotta connect under the water layer, or your builds are gonna get broken down.
Il
So they
panique.
have used a lot of materials just to do a few 1-by-1s here, and with the amount of duos as well you saw on the ridge there, you do not want to take any sort of engagement, as pressure will be put onto you. Vortex Belusi though, also on the edge of the zone, but inside of the forest.
They've definitely been kind of having a fantastic day so far, starting this game in 8th place. And where they're at on that series point leaderboard, they needed to have a good day today. Their qualifier 1, they got about 275 points, locks them into the lower bracket side of things. But you know, just like everybody else, it's the upper bracket that not only gives you the easiest road, but multiple chances to make that grand finals. And as long as they can keep their position on the leaderboard intact with only no time left to get into games, they got that upper bracket spot secured.
You can tell that this is a final match for these players because of how kind of patient and non-aggressive they're playing. They know they don't really need Storm Surge because there's
Sneezy.
not enough players that are up currently, and they want to get as many points as possible. So a lot of them are just kind of, you know, relaxing in their box and doing what they can do to set themselves up either for the rotation or
Ils
even
sont
just
tous box
staying
là.
where they
Alors, du
are if
côté
they
des
were
Stis,
to
c'est
pull
passé quoi?
zone. I believe a majority of duos did pull zone here since it closed towards the edge of the previous zone.
À chaque fois que je quitte le live des Stis, quand je reviens, ils ont souvent 2 kills. C'est incroyable. Hein.
Yeah, and for the ones that do, it doesn't seem like it's going to be too hard for them to rotate. There is a few different strategies, even though there's already a team position, but you can go towards the shoreline, try to ride it, use the line of sight of the mountain to your advantage. But we talked about it, multiple, if not majority of the teams already in towards the zone. So for the next couple minutes, you might see teams that are in this position, you know, play a little slow. They don't necessarily need the Storm Surge, but for those that do, that's where it's going to be tough to gather because everybody is already boxed up.
Kaizen looking to see if he can open up any opportunities here. His duo partner has a sniper rifle in hand. All it takes is one shot, but being 2,000 above, I mean, this is the duo that once again was kind of playing for all or nothing. They either get a bunch of eliminations or get knocked out and get into their final match. But they were able to secure just about 7 eliminations by doing so, and now they're looking incredibly healthy. For Merstash and Malabuka, though, a little bit lower in terms of elevation, but as well lower in terms of damage. 69 above only. Basically no duos have been eliminated since the lobby's closed, and now the pressure, it's suddenly on, Jacob.
Yeah, Robin and Tweed feeling a little bit of that, but they have the Grim Gates loot, both the Dash Medallion and that Gatekeeper Mythic. Multiple splashes. They got the 0-point dash, so for them, they're going to be able to get out of tough situations very, very quickly, but a team that wants to enter one, Malabuka Merstash, I saw a knock on into Frizzy, instantly move in, clean that one up. 267 above the damage threshold, which is a huge difference from what we saw them minutes ago.
Medkits in hand, going to be put to good use here, as now they do have to do quite a southern rotate, as they're all the way up north, and there's already so many duos that have begun rotating that they will be boxed up and looking back at these players that are going to rotate in late. So Malabuka knows they cannot waste time here.
Yeah, quickly using it, and the biggest thing to take note of here is they're saving their dashes. Well, might have spoke too soon as Merstash is trying to get out of a tough spot, but they're just trying to save it as much as possible so they can make rotations just like this and finally get into the zone with safety. You see them move down the side of the mountain just a little bit, trying to box up to where they think is the best spot in zone, and it is a little bit further away than some of the other players when it comes to overall towards the center. Falling down below that threshold just a little bit, and that's why they look towards the backside of the zone.
Ça joue super bien.
Take a look at Robin and Ju here. Nice. Quick way to clean up an elimination.
Ça joue
Huge
super bien.
headshot snipe as well. As now I believe, yeah, they are holding on to high ground. But can they do it for the rest of the match?
Hey, that's what we've been seeing so far. Teams have actually been able to solidify very little congestion in this late games for that high ground, but they do got a far pull on this rotation. So it would take a lot of their materials if they're looking to build out, but they also have, oh my, I was about to say, they also have that medallion to dash to the front side and rebuild to take that high ground, but he has his eyes set on shots like this to try to get even more points for their total.
Who is this? Who are we watching right now?
Ju.
Elim after Elim. I got confused. I didn't know, is this Ju? Is this Julie? Who is it? With the shots that we're seeing. Malibuka Merstash, though, they were able to make it into zone from being at the opposite side.
Ah, Malibuka. On est sur Malibuka, les gars. Ah, Malibuka, ils ont trop rien.
Now, once again, trying to get ahead
oh,
of looking at their
go.
surroundings. Can they find
Can
they just find damage? As Gripey is going to be the one getting that elimination.
Quick find before he continues moving on in his journey forward. But they know this next zone is going to pull just a little bit, and you see them getting ready, spotting the information. They know where high ground's at, and he spots the weak part of that layer. Shots are going to ensue, and this could be the chance. Levin talked about this to open up the show. Him and Mini broke how teams are going for high ground in this game. With everything tumbling down, this is going to be their best shot. Ooh. But instantly, they reclaim it. It's like Levin read the script and laid it out to start the game, because it's happening just as he predicted.
Another one as well from Ju. Can he continue hitting these snipes? 6 on the board already. Double-digit elims. They have 11. 5 chug splashes and 4 bananas to hold on. More than enough materials to stay height. As the pressure is getting put onto the duos that are second height. I believe it's actually Merstash and Malibuka now who have to make the decision. Well, they quickly realize this and drop down. It's Malibuka, Merstash. Same layer, though. Looks like they're going to fight for the layer. Malibuka, it's actually Merstash that was almost boxed up there for a moment. Are they going to continue for fighting this layer? Do they want to drop? Do they want to move up? Flowberry's popped. The decision has to be made here as Merstash goes up one. Malibuka gets dropped, though. Merst is left as a solo.
Yeah, but he just needs to solidify his position in this game. Malibuka is going to get dropped, like you said. Merstash is trying. They just need to hold on to their position on the leaderboard. Almost gets boxed up. Dexy on the other side. Another spray burst had landing, and Dexy gets the elimination onto Merstash. Malibuka and his run in this qualifier is over.
Gripey now with 6 on the board. 10 eliminations for Ju. Make that 11.
Wow.
16 for the duo, and he said, I'm done playing high ground. I'm dropping down. I'm getting eliminations.
They don't want to just take part. They want to take over. 17. The total continues to go up in the final 2.
Ça joue archi bien par contre. Hein. Je suis désolé, les tout à l'heure je parle pas parce que j'écoute les commentateurs.
Lower by lower, ultimate low ground. Robin drops all the way down. He's trying to predict where it's all going to happen. Now they have 2 different angles. Pressure from above, pressure from below. An opportunity to 2v1 while they can, but they don't take advantage. Now he goes to the front side.
Bon, il les a défoncés.
And with those dashes, he can reposition to safety.
Et il s'est fait péter.
A rampage unfolding from Ju, but he gets stopped. Pure carnage put to an end as
Ok, la fan zone, attention, qui va gagner?
Gripey as well with the same amount. But who can last longer?
Gripey qui va gagner?
Versus the medkits, that's really going to be the key, and how you time them out. Gripey, he's using
qui va gagner?
One more medkit after this. The bananas, 2 more medkits on the other side. Another one going to be popped. Banana's going to be traded out, and he's letting the other banana get his HP up. Perfectly played by both Robin and Ju to win their last game of the day.
They had the same amount of medkits, but the factor.
Au-dessus de nous, la retard.
Je retourne sur Esti.
C'est niveau max, t'es combien?
J'ai 4,5, 3,5, 3,5, je suis bien, t'inquiète.
Ok, ça va. Faudrait avoir des refresh, c'est bon. J'ai que 2 dash, moi, du coup, toi t'en as 3.
On va fizz, on va dash au-dessus. Tu sais qu'en vrai, on aurait.
Ça monte, hein.
Il y a un high. On va pas le high, mais il y a un high, hein.
Ouais, il y a un high très.
On rester ici, on essaie de trouver un high. Si on trouve pas, on va dash ensuite, tranquille.
Là j'ai mis une balle des pompes, je sais pas combien.
Okay. Sur moi, viens, peut-être.
Ouais, j'arrive.
Ils sont juste au-dessus, on casse au-dessus, casse.
Ah, ils savent.
Ouais, dommage. Ok, viens, on va avancer ici. Fais un fizz et tu vas dash. Suis-moi, ouais. C'est bon?
Ouais, je te suis.
Monte. Et tu dash devant là.
Ouais, je suis.
Dans box?
C'est moi. Tu sais que je vais le baiser. Hein.
T'as plus de dash? Que je mets un fils, des gros, full droite. Viens là, full là, suis-moi. En dessous de nous, fais gaffe, y'a une chim. Mets des splash, Ita. On est en dessous de la storm.
On est en dessous.
Là, on est bien. Envoie un peu de hard et c'est carré.
Ouais, je regarde juste
Juste devant, go spray, ouais. Il est crack, il est blanc. Il est mort. J'ai le tête, ouais, j'ai le tête. Non, j'ai pas. Que j'ai pas eu. Je suis full match. J'ai 5-2-5.
Parfait.
Nice. Viens, on met un fil, on va devant. Pour l'avant.
Ah putain, on est 32 au-dessus, mais il partira.
Viens, suis-moi.
Je suis.
T'es avec moi?
Ouais,
On a l'eau mid, fais gaffe. Hein.
Est-ce qu'ils veulent jouer? Non? Ah, ils ont pris la storm, ils ont la storm.
J'ai bien de mon côté. La retake, fais gaffe. Je suis low. J'ai 4 flashs à mettre.
Ouais, je fise. Ah, vas-y, mais je fise aussi.
Ouais, fils aussi. Faut trouver juste un kill, gros, on est bien.
Faut un mort là, normalement, faut un mort.
Y'a personne? Manque du fils, j'avance.
Ouais, je fise.
Mais gros, mais ils font qu'être prendre la storm, mais.
C'est bon.
Viens, fais gaffe. On nous attend. Bon, on est bien. Back crack, je suis low. Mais fils, double fils. Non, j'ai plus d'art, j'ai plus rien. Avance ensuite. Avance, excellent, avec le fils. Comme ça, je fils, nice. T'as pas de hard, toi?
Vas-y, viens.
Ouais, je suis. Y'a les dash en dessous. Check toi, monte. Tu vas te faire box.
Ouais, c'est bon, bien.
Nice. Mon layer. Descends. Ah,
t'es mort?
Ah, dommage. Dommage, Isti. Bah oui. Dommage.
Frère, mais j'en ai marre d'avoir ce bug chaque game. Oh là. Et je bug trop, moi, laisse tomber. Bah ouais, je vais exploser mon crâne, j'ai 100 de ping, frère. Moi j'ai 100 de ping, la dernière game, frère.
Bon, bah, est-ce qu'ils sont qual?
Non, y'a pas d'aller, j'ai 100 de ping, la dernière game, frère. C'est la plus importante. Je pouvais rien faire, moi.
Est-ce qu'ils sont qual?
putain, c'est dommage, vas-y.
Je crois pas qu'ils sont quoi là. Je crois pas qu'ils sont quoi là.
Je sais pas si on est pas dans le Luper. La saison là,
Le Luper c'est mort, les gars.
Ouais, on est en lower, je crois. Quoi lower, ouais. On est en quoi lower. J'ai rien presque, j'ai trop de seum.
Ah, je sais pas s'ils sont quoi là.
Pourquoi je vois lag? C'est même pas lui. J'espère que ça me fait quelque chose.
Bah lui c'est sûr il est qual.
Oh, but I want to look at these standings, Jacob. Number 1, first place spot with 2 victory royales, 326 points. It's Robin, it's Ju, who is 237 on the screen. They are feeling happy with that current placement.
Yeah, all of that you said, 50 elims as well. The only team to have more elims in that top 10, Veno and Tayson, superstars knowing for their ability to gather those eliminations. So Robin, Ju, congratulations. Welcome to the FNCS semifinals.
I think I saw Vortex as well in second place there. So there's a lot of top veteran duos from EU competitive that are topping the current series point leaderboard. A reminder, they're playing for either that upper bracket or lower bracket in the semifinals that we will see starting May 10th. So we got a little break, but then we're right back into the action.
Yep, but that's really going to be one of the things we kind of look out for with... That's one of the things we're looking out for with not a lot of games, not a lot of time left. You really have to wonder what the strategy is for the teams that do not have their spot secured. And for Doxy, doing a little celebration, you got to imagine they're smooth sailing with a spot on lock. And this is where you're going to see in this last game, depending on where you're at in the leaderboard, some teams may go wild, king players in the lobby, playing for elims. Others might have to play so safe, it might not be what they're used to.
Trip and Fred, I mean,
oh, ils vont le déglinguer. Ils vont le déglinguer.
Match just about to pick up another one in the 2v1 here.
Oh le pauvre.
They already have 6 elims, Jacob. They want to make it
genre il va aller en V2. Ah, c'était sûr.
C'était sûr, c'était sûr.
En 1v1, il aurait pu les défoncer, mais là il est en 1v2 donc
Are they hitting crazy snipes? Are they just pushing everybody?
Ouais, faut qu'il y en ait un qui prenne des bananes. Faut qu'il y en ait un qui prenne des bananes.
This isn't the same Tripper and Phenoxy that we saw in Major 1. They're here. They're out for redemption.
Wesh.
And this is how they're picking it up. Not just one.
Oh, mais
There
lui,
goes
il est
the first snipe. There's still
monstrueux.
2 other solos left.
Oh,
in
il est
there.
monstrueux, les gars.
Medallion makes the second one look even easier than the first. And Phenoxy,
Wesh.
smooth sailing, green lights ahead. Him and Trippin
Wesh.
finally solidified
Oh, il
this
est monstrueux,
last
par contre.
elimination. Really no hope or
Pas mal,
chance
pas
for their
mal.
opponents because they didn't see them coming.
It's the best way.
Ah, ils se sont fait laver
to
la
get
nuit, ça,
eliminations by
vraiment.
surprise. And now,
Ils se sont
62
vraiment fait
players
laver.
up,
Oui, mais lui, il a
33
3
duos.
fiches.
This is going to be officially be the last match for these players. They've got it in just in the last queue.
Il y a moyen qui.
As a reminder, there are
Vous pensez qui va gagner?
250 duos competing today.
Mais
5 lobbies being played out at the same time.
ouais. Ok, pourquoi pas.
And
Ouais,
with
mais
that, you
il
see
est
a
CD
couple
derrière
players,
lui. Il est
as
CD
usual,
derrière
positioned
lui.
on top of Rift Island. Few tools for mobility.
Il a les
Those
CD
launch
derrière
pads
lui.
down
Là, tout le
below
monde il se prend des
Rift
balles par
Island.
derrière.
Rifts that do spawn up as well. There's Dre and Darky seeming like they're ready to fight. And you got to imagine why a team would pick a fight list like this. They are separated
Bah oui,
above the
chef.
island. They might not
Il a
necessarily
laissé
even
Edith.
have the history on their side in today when it comes to Surge. So they might want to isolate a fight and get it. But as soon as Darky does land a couple of shots and reunite with Dre, it looks like they feel like their job is done.
La Storm Surge.
Trying to see here once this refreshes 100 or 1,081 above the Storm Surge threshold, Jacob. With only 3
Okay.
elims, you can tell.
Là, la
they've done
rota,
more
elle
than
est
enough
bien.
damage. I also like what they just did there. Flowberry Fizz
Oui.
plus Launchpad to get
Par
as
contre,
far as they possibly
Ils
can.
ont des
into the
planeurs,
zone.
chef. Bah
You
tiens,
can see
hop,
deploying and
il s'est fait
redeploying
crack.
your glider to try and evade the shots from the players who are already boxed up.
Wow.
As
Wow,
we got
wow,
Jordy
wow, wow, wow,
and
wow,
his
il s'est
duo
pris un
partner
boulot.
here. Speaking about edit courses, he's given us a
Il a
prime time
pickaxe.
example of how to do one with a little pickaxe finish to it. The icing on
Il
the
a-
cake, little cherry on top. What a way to finish it
Il a
off.
pickaxe.
What a play. Let's watch that one again. There goes the first one. Boxes him up rather
Il a
easy.
pickaxe.
And puts the cone down with the pickaxe. Both of them actually went in, probably playing whack-a-mole of who can get it first.
You can tell that they're feeling confident too. Look at the way they're getting closer. They even know there's opponents close by.
C'est des malades.
Took a pause there, was waiting to see if he can connect this
Je crois qu'il y a
shot.
personne derrière eux, ils sont bien en vrai.
So close, but
En vrai là, ils sont
unable
bien.
to. They are going to get
Ils
the
sont
loot
bien,
though
ils sont
from those
bien.
eliminations, and now they kind of got to figure out they have to make a rotate. They can no longer sit on top of this
Ah si, il y a
mountain
une
as
team
zone
derrière. Ah
has
si,
pulled
alors maintenant il y a
away.
personne derrière eux donc ils sont bien.
But there's not too
Mais
many
juste
duos
eux,
in the area, so
eux
it should
s'ils
not
montent
be
pas
a
frère, ils sont
problem for
foutus
them.
hein.
Yeah, it's kind of like a little easier of a rotation. Might take just a little bit longer and expend some builds.
Ah, c'est des
Kovacs,
malades.
you see Stan trying to go around the backside of this mountain. It's the summit base. Decent loot over here. Some metal that you can gather, and there's even a launch pad at the backside of that mountain as well. So definitely giving themselves a few options they can use depending on where this next zone pulls.
Take a look at what happened here with Kiro.
Là,
This Frox Izzy that
il
got
bim.
put to sleep.
Bien joué, il
Outside, I believe, is
est en train de défoncer les
his
mecs.
duo
Il
partner,
est tué
but
avec la zone.
another team.
Bah il en profite en tout cas, c'est ça qui est bien.
Now for the duos that have to kind of rotate in. They have players like Swizzy and Vanyak, who, if I'm hearing that sound correctly, Jacob, they got the waterbending mythic, and with the elevation they have, you know, they're just letting
Je crois
everyone
que
in
c'est
the
la
lobby
dernière.
know that they're looking
Je crois
for
que ça-
them.
je crois que
They're
ça va
doing
être
as
la
much
dernière
damage
de-
as possible with the infinite
On
ammunition.
est,
you
on est,
have
on est
with
dans
that
les
mythic.
dernières games là normalement.
It would be annoying to play against that.
Especially if you're one of those teams that are at the bottom, kind of going through it. And you have to worry about the top with Swizzy. Takes a little bit of that piece control, fires that first shot over, just trying to back down his opponents. Him and Vanyak, even though we haven't seen much of them, you can kind of see through their points, the consistency. Not really taking too many risks with only 2 eliminations, and they're 900 above the damage threshold. And you can kind of see building up, using the Flowberry Fizz before they rotate again. It feels like almost every single one of the moves, whether it's a big one or a small one, is calculated in terms of risk.
Still four bananas in hand, sorry. Which has been a game-winning factor for some of the previous duos we've seen. So Vanyak and Swizzy
Ils jouent dans les arbres.
rotate. They become a bush camp dad strategy there in the tree.
Belle
But
balle,
what
très
did
très
Kiro
bonne
just
balle.
do with a quick headshot snipe? I'm loving the snipes
Bah,
today,
il s'est fait
Jacob.
laver, hein.
I mean, we're getting a show, but
Il a voulu
maybe I
le
spoiled
jouer
it
snipe, il s'est fait péter.
because
Il s'est
the
fait
highlight
péter.
reel, they forgot to cut that one early. It's okay though. No worries. We saw the shot.
We are definitely seeing a few more players kind of get caught off guard in certain rotations than I would have kind of expected up until this point. And it's almost that risk reward. Do you take the sniper? Do you take extra heals? And I think for a majority of the players today, we've seen that risk versus reward play off plentiful. 182 above the damage threshold for perceive. And he right now with that sniper, he's just looking for another opportunity. You know, the zone is kind of pulling in their favor, and he's just trying to look as far out as he can see to try to land the shots just like that. Another 116, bumping him even further up the damage threshold.
That's huge, actually. I believe they were under 200. They had 100 and something damage, so that snipe is going to be crucial to being able to stay up even longer and not have to focus on doing anything a little too overly aggressive. Jurdy, edit course again. Hopefully they can show us another one. But they got to be careful as their floors are trying to get them dropped down into a trap.
And that's the thing with your own stack side of the zone, when you get a far pull just like this, and then you hear so many players firing off on one another, kind of makes you second guess when and where to rotate. For Jurdy and edit course, the information that they're gathering by peeking through the cone is going to be important. And now they're ready for their Flowberry Fizz rotation. For them, earlier is going to be better to try to not fall behind everybody else that has to focus on Surge.
For Doxy Trip
Dans 10 secondes, ils spawnent tous la storm.
Jurdy edit course now trying to get away from the engagements here and get the zone. It has pulled almost all the way north. So it's a far rotation for a lot of the players here. Looks like they already have their... I thought this was actually their base, but it's not. There's an opponent on it, so for a moment it looked like they were almost going to drop it down, but they just want to make it their builds. And I guess they're going to do a rotate a little slow here, but people kind of do their thing and then use the banana and Flowberry combo to continue.
Yeah, they want that speed boost, a little extra on the height. They could possibly jump from here all the way to the front side of the zone, but they actually choose to waterfall down just a little bit, negating the amount of distance they can cover, but upping the amount of safety they're going to have. As Curiosity looks towards the back, doesn't find what he sees, trying to stay close with default, but finding any nook cranny to go ahead and rotate to safety, leading the charge for him and his duo, and they finally catch up. 245 above the damage threshold, which isn't too bad, especially since placement points are now beginning to ring in with top 20 positioning.
The good part about being able to box up in a position like this is you can re-farm all those materials that you might desperately need.
No.
As another duo goes down. Swizzy Vanyak now continuing to hold on strong. They have not been forced into any aggression. They have so much loot, so much materials that they just have to play it safe here. Trying to scavenge as many points as possible. This is the last match of the qualifiers. The last opportunity for these players to make something happen. So they want to maximize it.
Yeah, you see the double banana being popped by Swizzy and Vanyak. Even though they're taking shots, their main focus is getting from one place to another. 798.
Oh, le carottage de kill.
Out a solo. That's Jurdy who is
s'est pris une
going to
sacrée
get
balle,
taken
hein.
down. Swizzy bites off just a little bit more than he can chew, but luckily Vanyak is there. Not only to make the edit for him, but get his HP back on up before they pop the next legendary banana and finish their next rotation to the zone.
Other combo to rotate. The banana Flowberry once again. You can see how much height, how much distance they can get with a single jump. As Swizzy's looking up, he's looking at the clouds. Is he going for what I think he is? The high ground retake from Swizzy and Vanyak. This could be huge, game-changing if they're able to do it successfully. And it looks like they might have just done it, Jacob.
Yeah, I chased that one player off, but
il a crash.
just turned sideways.
Attends, il s'est passé quoi? Il a crash?
That you get height like that, and you have a fight for it. And
Il a crash puis il s'est fait tuer.
Stan and Kovacs, they're trying to hold strong. Got to be second height as
Il a
of now.
crash.
If they
Oui, il s'est
continue
fait
to look
tuer,
down,
frère.
fall below. They don't have the builds to maintain their position, so you got to think this is going to be a great play. But even flush out almost as Kovacs builds just one box, leaves himself with 7 builds.
His duo partner, though, no shields, low on HP. They do have 3 med kits. So depending on what their game plan is, they could play it a little slow. Kiriachi goes down though. Default left as a solo. He has a gas can in his inventory. He could disrupt this end game if he feels like it. 14 HP, 22 HP. 14 shield, sorry, 22 HP. But you gotta be careful with the duo coming in. He has to defend himself here and no medkits. Forced to go closer to the zone. Just 2 HP now, 1 tick away from getting eliminated.
Yeah, he doesn't have builds. He doesn't have HP. Doesn't even have a teammate, but he's still figuring out a way to make it work. Top 9 position. Getting ready for this next one. This is going to be a make or break situation.
C'est normal.
Zone pushes in. He finds one knock on the stand, but goes down directly after. Unfortunate circumstances, but while everybody is down below the bottom of the mountain, there's one team high up on the clouds without a single worry.
It's Vanyak trying to hold on, trying to close it out, but Dre doing what he can to stay up. Fed Nemo, though, down below 6 elims. Make it 7 as they recuperate a bit of the materials. 5 total duos up right now. A majority, not a majority, but a lot of them back in the zone. You got to be careful now. Medkits being popped, shots being put to work.
And they're going to be able to get that one. Final 4 teams left alive, even though some of them are solos. Capalot goes down. Fetty's there.
Mais ils vont pas le... Ah là, lui, il
But I do think he got it forced to cancel. To Nemo, he's trying to scrounge around. Vanyak from above falls down at the perfect time to steal away the loot from his opponents. He still has the win condition in hand with both the banana and the flashes.
Can Vanyak close it out as now there's a duo on low? He needs to make something happen from above, and that's it. The pressure being applied as he's dropped down. 38 HP to work with. Banana popped, forcing himself to recuperate that HP. He has minis, he has a flowberry, but it's all about hitting his shots.
Yeah, and it's a 1v1 situation here. He does have the 2 legendary bananas, but that's not going to lead to a massive heal off depending on what they have on the other side. So Vanyak just waiting for that perfect moment. With a few builds left, he knows he's going to have to drop down. There come the shots in. The banana's going to be popped, staggering himself just a little bit, changing up angles with the side shot coming in. First shot's going to get landed. The Flowberry Fizz giving him extra elevation, and then the final shot is in. Vanyak wins the game.
What a way to close out the match, from retaking high ground in the moving zones to playing from the clouds as a solo and finishing it off. No materials, forced to pop the banana, played it slow, played it calm, played it collected, and finished it off, hitting his shots and taking home the win.
Yeah, I gotta have ice in his veins. They're on the high ground, they're on height. Vanyak ends up as a solo, and he's still brave enough to not only go in, get the elimination and all that loot. And that's going to be a huge difference maker when it comes to the leaderboard. Swizzik and Vanyak win our final game of the day. And this is where it's really going to come down to which teams made it up the leaderboard enough to get the series points they need, and which ones would just end the day just a little bit disappointed, thinking what more they could have done.
It's been a crazy day, Jacob. Sniper shots being hit, some heal-ups, but a majority of the players just dominating on height. We saw basically highlight reels being made, but that's it for me and Jacob here casting these games. We'll be back for the semifinals May 10th, but let's close it off on the desk. Frankie, Levin, Mini, what's changed?
Thank you so much to Carter and Jacob Pian. What a thrilling finale, because Fede was fighting for that one. You could sense how much he wanted it in the final moments. But you know what, Vanyak, he's just too experienced, he's just too good. And he obviously made that calculation in his mind, and he chose correctly to go for that fight, Levin.
Yeah, man, Vanyak in a 1v1. Easy, light work. Feed him more players in a 1v1 situation. No mats, no problem. This is light work for Vanyak. We've seen him do it before. It was really close. I will give Fede credit because he was down to top of his feet. But I'm just gonna act like it was nice and easy for Vanyak because that's just what Vanyak does. Swizzy and Vanyak, man, they're a team I've spoken about on the broadcast many times now. I want to see more from them, right? When you look at the talent, there's no doubt in my mind these two are two of the most talented players in the world. Not just EU, I'll say in the world. Last season, Vanyak considered were dominating throughout the qualifying stages leading up to FNCS, and now playing with Swizzy, you look at them and you go, wow, these two have the potential to be one of the best teams in EU and really, really, really show that they can, you know, win an FNCS again for Swizzy, right? And for the first time for Vanyak. Hasn't quite been that this season, but games like this do inspire hope for the future.
Well, they do have the potential, right? As you mentioned, Levin, two fantastic solo players, two great players individually. I know Vanyak is one of those players that in the history of Fortnite, we've always talked about as having one big pop-off game in each tournament. I suppose as of late, that hasn't necessarily been the case, I feel like, but now we can see it once again. Vanyak on top once again. I think there at the end, it was a good job he popped that fizz, it was a good job he popped that banana, because the other player just didn't know what was going on. He was trying to look for him, what was going on, and of course, it was a nice way to close it out right there. But yeah, I'm really excited about this team. I think more people should be as well.
That's the great thing about that final fight was Fede obviously expecting just to be able to heal off, not knowing his enemy was about to jump from the high ground with a belly full of fizz and then jump around him until he got that final shot. A fantastic final lobby for us to peek our eyes into. I'm hoping we can take a look at the standings while we try and calculate that leaderboard for you to find out who has made it into the upper bracket. Vico and Pink holding on as always. I mean, these two just fight for the top every time.
Yeah, back-to-back first places now in the qualifiers for Vico and Pink. A bit of progress from last week. They won a game this time, right? Last week they won the qualifier one without actually winning a game in round 4, but this time round they do win a game, and again, supreme consistency from the two of them. I mean, they're going a bit under the radar. It feels like we've not seen them much on the show today, but they are definitely a top team, a contender this season. And Susie and Vanyak, after that last win, all the way up into second place. Big fan of that. Harrison's give you a bit hard done by them, because they've probably been one of the most consistent teams all throughout the day, and they finish in 3rd.
Kiriachi there and default. I'm just looking at those, looking at the increase in placement. Massive 29 place increase up towards that 19th place right there. That is absolutely fantastic for this team. They're a team that definitely needed it as well. We talked about it earlier. They placed outside of that round 4 qualification last week. This week needed to be big, and clearly that last game was something big as well.
I mean, it's Kiriashi, man. I miss the days when everybody had Yashi 32 at the end of their name, you know? Like, really, this is that guy. And Defo as well is a top player, someone who's, you know, sort of always showed moments where you thought, wow, this guy is, you know, one of the better players out there. But it's good to see them back doing well here in FNCS.
All right, then, based on the performances you've seen in the qualifiers so far, whose name is going to be at the end of everyone else's name when we come back for the semi-finals, Levin?
So this is the person who's already done it, Cal Marius, man. He's on top of the world right now. If you ask TikTok who they think the best player in the world is, what are they going to tell you? Marius Cal. So, Bongar second to Marius right now, at least, for now. For now. Yeah.
That upper bracket lobby is going to resemble a full-on paddock.
Yes, it will.
Yeah. Mum.
Yeah, it's gonna.
That's a field where you keep livestock.
C'est des malades.
Oh, gosh. It's fine. Oh, gosh. Okay. Judging by the qualifiers, do you think that Pink and Vico can actually kind of keep up this consistency we've seen? Because obviously, when it comes to these lobbies that we've seen in the qualifiers, they are very different to when we have the set lobbies, when we have the upper bracket and the lower bracket in the semi-finals. So obviously I would love to see them finally win an FNCS major together, but I mean, there's just no guarantees for any minor.
Yeah, there isn't. And they're that sort of team that will pop off at certain moments, particularly at the beginning of the season. They've done it in the past. And Levin, it just doesn't seem to carry over into that grand finals. I think the lack of experience of actually going all the way in a grand finals for both of those players, I think definitely plays its part. And just the way that, particularly last season, when it was that at the beginning of the game that really threw a few spanners in the works to this team. If things are a little bit different,
la coupe, gros, elle est magnifique.
Carry that into the semi-finals and of course hopefully.
Elle est magnifique, la coupe.
If you would like to know, I'm so sorry. No, oh, I love it when I hit the nail on the head. Please, no, continue.
No, you got me. No, we're not giving you your praise. No praise for you, Frankie. You carry on.
That's what I was gunning for, because I never get praise, and so I thought you were going to say something nice about me. Can you just try that again?
I was just going to say, you hit the nail on the head in that these lobbies compared to a set lobby, very, very different game, and I think a lot of players express that. So what Pink and V could do in those set lobbies as we head towards grand finals will be, you know, the real tell for whether or not they'll be able to win this season.
Gosh, like I won an esports award. I love it. If you guys at home would like to know who's going to be competing in our upper bracket and who's going to be competing in our lower bracket, then do keep your eyes on the official FNCS website, because that's where the leaderboard will be posted. The season leaderboard, I should clarify, because we've already, of course, shown you the standings. So do check that out. Keep your eyes peeled, and we will be able to tell you very soon who has made it to those all-important semi-finals. That's going to be 3 days of action coming up for you in May, because our players, they do get a couple of weeks off to just practice, to scrim, to work really, really hard and get their stats and
Ils parlent trop les gens là,
for
les
those
présentateurs.
semi-finals. I'm curious to know where
commentateurs, ils parlent
Sasha
trop.
Malabuka came, if they're going to have to fight through the lower bracket. So I'm definitely going to be going to the website later on to find out what's going to be happening. Mini Minor, any surprises from the jury's performances today?
Là, c'est la fin
de
leur live.
Expecting to do well at the semi-finals now.
At the beginning of the show, I talked about Janus and Flixie. You know, they were the team that won the second qualifier today. Last season, I mean, they didn't win it today, right? So it was one of those where it's like, what's going on? Where's the script? Are we just going to throw the script out the window now? I was expecting Janus and Flixie to win, but no, I think I was kind of surprised that Pink and Vico did it again, right? I think it shows a lot of maturity from this team. For me, that's the biggest surprise.
Salut Evan.
Yeah, those guys are playing well. I'd have to say, in terms of dark horses, Frankie, big shout out to my guy, Coach
Tu vas
Harry,
bien?
because he put me on, man. Haris and Skivvy, not enough people are bigging these guys up. They might have been the most consistent team throughout this season so far. When you're just looking at all the cash cups, you know, even performance evals, just every event, they're just always up there in the leaderboards, man. These guys are so good, and they don't get enough praise. So hopefully we see them continue that.
But I'm looking forward to seeing Nathan and CZB. I think they're definitely a duo to watch. We've seen so many fantastic performances over the last couple of weeks. I can barely contain myself for the semi-finals. And for you guys at home, if you want to see more Fortnite action, do stick around, because the North American competition is coming up on stream shortly. But for now, thank you so much to Takata, to Jake Kapia, to 11-2K and Mini Minor. I've been Frankie Ward, and please sound that horn.
Not again.
Good night.
Ah là là, la fin, get, c'est trop stylé. Ok. Ah, je crois que le live des styles est bugué, à moins qu'il soit plus court. Ah, ici il est plus en live. Ouais, c'est ça, c'est pour ça il est plus en live. Bah écoutez, c'est la fin des FNCS, hein. Nice. Et ce qui signe la fin du live. Mais avant de mettre fin au live, ok, on a un truc à faire. C'est, on va là-dessus. On tape Zaoxy. On fait recherche. On arrive là-dessus. Ok, on clique sur cette chaîne là. Ok. Et on s'abonne juste ici. Juste ici, on s'abonne. Juste ici, on s'abonne. Et là, on valide. Et après, bah, on est bon. Après, on est bon. On tape Zaoxy. Et normalement vous êtes bon et bah on peut finir le live avec ça par exemple.
Franchement, like, merci, je le cherchais, ouais, mais il y a les restes. Ça y est, vas-y. Vas-y, 128. Salut les gars, c'est encore une fois. Attendez-moi. T'as dit quoi? Ça fait 5-0. Allez, fou. Ça fait 5-0. Allez les gars, bon courage, tout le monde, bon courage. Ça fait 5 ans, il a pris un 5. C'est 5, les 2 trucs. Là, première victoire pour la Black Sky, les gars.
Ah oui, c'est vrai, je peux pas liker, merde. Bon, bref, les gars, bonne nuit à tous et on se retrouve demain pour une peut-être vidéo. Allez, bonne nuit et merci à ceux qui se sont abonnés, merci à ceux qui ont regardé le live. Bah écoutez, à plus. Ok.